Gatcombe, home to Princess Anne, the most extraordinary natural amphitheatre for the best of equestrian sport. The Event Rider Masters, Leg 5. We are past halfway in this epic series. Points are still to be played for, and the scene is set for an epic, gritty battle.
Welcome to the Event Rider Masters 2017. Now in its second year, this is the ultimate eventing series, spanning 7 events in 7 iconic locations across Britain and Europe, culminating at Blenheim Palace, where the series champion will be crowned. As the competition for the series title really begins to heat up, the 5th leg sees the Event Rider Masters return to UK turf, heading to Gatcombe Park in Gloucestershire for the Festival of British Eventing. Competition will be fast and furious, as 33 of the world's very best international horses and riders from 14 different nations will be battling it out over the next 2 days for a podium spot and precious series points. This stellar field of eventing superstars and Olympic heroes will be showcasing the finest in equestrianism and tested to their limits across the 3 classic eventing disciplines. From the style and grace of dressage, to the precision and accuracy of show jumping, to the power and adrenaline of cross-country, in their quest for eventing's ultimate prize. This is the Event Rider Masters.
Welcome back to Gatcombe Park. The Festival of British Eventing plays host to the 5th leg of the Event Rider Masters series, and we welcome a top-class field forward that features 4 former leg winners. We are halfway through the dressage phase, and while the weather isn't hotting up, the competition certainly is. We have so much in store for you throughout the afternoon. We can't wait to bring you all of the action, all the behind the scenes action as well. Joining me in the studio for the next session of dressage is international judge Angela Tucker, and also from Equiratings Sam Watson. We can't wait to hear what you guys have to say throughout the afternoon. But it is not just us here in the studio braving the elements out there. Let's go and say a very good afternoon to Alice.
Nicole, I am so tough, you know that. We are braving the elements here. I hope it's cosy for you and those princess boys in the studio, because it is pouring with rain once again. We've had epic thunderstorms here throughout lunchtime. The lightning show has been quite extraordinary, and I'm so glad that we didn't have horses in the dressage arena, because it is starting to brighten up, and these competitors are so professional, they won't be worrying about it. They are starting to warm up for our afternoon section. We're looking forward to the dressage starting to build and build. As you said, that lead score from Tim Price, 42, that's going to be tough to beat, but we are expecting some sub 40 scores come this afternoon, and we keep on reiterating this is a jumping competition, and all the riders who've been out there and had a look at the course have said the same thing. Wow, there's plenty to jump, and the same with the dressage, with the show jumping arena. It's so undulating, there is plenty to jump. So although we expect and we hope we're going to get some sub 40 scores, and fireworks are going to fly in the arena behind me this afternoon, don't forget we had Is a Power make the podium here last year with over 50, and not one person made the time on the cross country. So just keep remembering, anyone watching, this is a 3-phase competition, not a dressage party.
Well, it is not a dressage party, and one man who currently sits at the top of the leaderboard, Tim Price for New Zealand with Xavier Fair, he doesn't mind that it's not a dressage party, because it has to be said, Sam, Xavier Fair, one of the fastest horses in the field.
Yeah, he really is. He was one of 2 horses to make the time around Badminton this year. That was a challenging track. And the other horse was Le Biosthetic Sam, ridden by Michael Young, who is the best horse in the world. So Tim is going to relish this opportunity. He's a toughie as well, so in these conditions, it's not just the horses that need to knuckle down; it's the riders as well. And these guys, this quality of field, they're very good at riding what's underneath them. They've got to. The conditions will play a part. It's undulating here. There's a big hill to come up at the end. Horses will be tired, and that is part of the challenge. That's what all sport is about. Same with humans as well. So it's going to be fascinating. We've got some serious business to get down to this afternoon with some more dressage.
We certainly do. And Angela Tucker, Angela, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait to get your perspective from a judge's eye. Now, I know you haven't had a chance to watch much of the ERM dressage this morning, so you've been very busy. But what's the atmosphere like up there at the dressage?
Oh, it's really good. In fact, when I was there, the going is really good, and the sun was out, and it was a lovely atmosphere. Unfortunately, we did then have quite a heavy shower, but you know, the horses didn't seem to mind, and I think there wasn't so much wind, which is what, if it's wind and rain, it really does upset them. But
miserable.
They don't seem to be too concerned with the rain.
And we know a number of competitors have been doing a bit of a rain dance, so they've been quite pleased to see the rain. But let's take a look at the leaderboard, because this is how things stand halfway through the dressage phase here. As we've said, it is Tim Price for New Zealand, Xavier Fair out in front, 43.3, ahead of a pole in front of Kirsty Johnston for Great Britain. WTTL opposition Skylaw, she was top 10 at Blair last year in leg 5. She'll be looking for more of the same in 2017. Ludvig Svenestål, Ballon missed. Excellent test for the Swedish Olympian, 48.6. But Elizabeth Power, Solidoon, she climbed up the leaderboard onto the podium with a higher penalty score in the dressage last year. 50.6 sees her sit in 6th place at the moment. The Speed Queen, Beanie Sturgis and Lebowski also handily placed for one of those epic climbs up the leaderboard. But one of the things about the Event Rider Masters and what makes it so special is the opportunity for you to get involved. Our technology partners, SAP, the spectator audience judging app, means that you at home can judge along, and you can download the app for free in your app store. So get involved. We'll be playing along with it this afternoon as well. Tim Price, well, you at home think he should be our leader. Xavier Fair. Elizabeth Power, Solidoon would be wishing you guys at home were on the ground jury, because she sits in 2nd on your scores. This is just for a little bit of fun, though. Make sure you get involved, because it promises to be an exciting afternoon. But let's turn our attentions to these final 2 sessions of dressage, because we have got an awful lot in store. Sam, in terms of equa ratings ones to watch, we've obviously got a few huge players in terms of the series, but who do we particularly need to be looking out for?
Well, who's going to post a good score in this phase? I think Alexander Bragg and Zagreb, they could be 2. Burra Pennies, Vittoria Panazon, they can be smart in this phase. Which Don Janeiro is going to turn up today? That's one for all his followers. Can it be the really smart horse that won the ERM leg at Bramham last year, or will it be the mischievous naughty boy who was at Jardie only a couple of weeks ago? I think what's fascinating about this is first in this session, Noteworthy and Oliver Town, and they actually just for the first time at 3-star level went below 40. They did a 39.5 at Bergen just last weekend, so they then withdrew, saving themselves for here. So Oliver could just have him in tip-top form, and we know that man, he wants to win this series.
He's hungry.
He is hungry for it. And then the last in of this session is that Oliver was last year's series winner. Gemma Tattersall is the last in this session. She is the series leader at the moment for this season. And what a horse, Arctic Soul as well, one you'll all be looking forward to seeing.
Well, I know I'm certainly looking forward to seeing him. Let's take a closer look at the running order, because we're into the 3rd session of dressage. The dressage is all seeded, which means the test will get better and better as the day progresses. But Sam, one combination coming forward, Don Janeiro, you've already mentioned him, the only combination to have won an Event Rider Masters leg on his dressage score.
That is true. And actually, let's not forget Marcio Cavallo-George with Lissy McGuire, who posted that 32.5 at Barbary last year. They led the dressage at Barbary and produced one of the most beautiful tests that we saw in this series last year. So their form has been up and down in that phase, so we'll see what they've got in store for us today.
Well, it is safe to say that there are a lot of very high-class combinations coming forward. Angela, anybody catching your eye as one that you are particularly keen to watch?
Well, I always enjoy watching Sarah Cohen's horse Treason. You know, he's such a lovely, big, loose-moving horse, and finds the balance a little bit difficult, but he's a lovely horse to watch. Who else have we got? Gemma always does a really tidy job in the presentation of the test. Harry Mead's Away Cruising, that goes very correctly, and again, being a grey, always
Everybody
catches
loves
the
a
eye.
grey.
He's on an upward curve as well, I think, that horse. He's been at the Moulin and 4-star under his belt now, so it'll be interesting to see how they get on.
Very much so. Well, we are about to get underway. The first combination after the lunch break is none other than the 2016 Series champion. Oliver Townend comes forward with Andrew Cawthrae's Noteworthy. This is a horse that actually won the intermediate championships here at Gatcombe a few years ago. That was back in 2015. He's had some good form in the novice championships as well. Going a few years ago now, back in 2011, he was in the top 15 in the novice championship. So he knows Gatcombe well. He likes the venue, the horse. And Oliver will be hoping for a top 5 finish this weekend. He needs to in order to try and retain his series title, because Sam, as you've said, he picked up points with Cooley Masterclass by finishing 3rd in Jardy, but they are the only points he has on the board.
Yeah, I think he's going to need really be looking at a top 5 finish. That will get him over 20 points, and he'll need that here. And you need to bank whatever you can get. So in his mind, he's probably just going for the top spot. He's thinking about being number 1. And this is a really interesting horse for him this week, because I think in every phase there, he can, the reliability is up and down. You know, he's gone from a 39.5, which is his best 3-star result on his most recent run, but at Bramham, which wasn't that long ago, that was in the beginning of June, they performed a 50.8. So there's quite a range there in what they could produce in this phase.
I actually watched this horse's test at Burgham just a week ago, and he scored sub 40, and it was a very, very nice test. So Angela, we're looking forward to getting your perspective. What are your first impressions?
Well, he had a lovely entry, which is always, as you say, a very nice start, and gets the judges on the higher, pressing the button. He was beautifully straight there, and a nice direct transitions. Then he moves on towards the medium trot. Maybe could have just been a little bit braver in that.
How important is it? Because you have your medium trot and your extended trot comes a little bit later. How much do you save in your medium for that extended?
Well, a little bit. You should show a difference, but you wouldn't get marked down for showing too much medium. If you as long as you keep the balance and the rhythm, that's the main thing. And have some.
White glove discussion before lunch. Do you notice that as a judge? White versus black gloves?
Well, you'd certainly notice if the hand wasn't doing the right thing, wouldn't you?
Well, plenty of 8s, 2 8s for that flying change. I think they are 2 of the first 8s we've seen for a flying change actually so far today.
It was interesting from our view because it was right towards the camera. He wasn't entirely straight, but that would be much harder to see from the, the judge at sea is going to struggle to see that. He's so good at getting every mark. You really notice it, particularly when his first time he came up the centre line before half past. Some people have been coming up and never really getting straight, and he just absolutely ticks all the boxes.
Well, he's creeping down towards going into the 30s. Plenty of 8s, certainly the most 8s that we've seen so far today.
Very correct.
So he's over most of the hurdle, just a few movements ago. I think we're definitely looking at our new leader. His best test that came just a week ago, 39.5 at 3-star level. That was the best test for this horse. He is gonna really get close to that. And Angela, I presume the collective marks, the end of a test like this where he's done everything really well.
Absolutely.
He's going to get some more good marks.
Got 3 very correct paces. From the submission point of view, the horse has coped so well with it.
And 8s across the board for that extended and medium canter. Last year's series champion, Oliver Townend, he started his 2016 campaign in strength here at Gatcombe. He is looking to do so again. He gives us a wry smile. He's pleased with that. We're going to have a new leader here, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. And Angela, what was it about that test that just made it such a pleasure to watch?
Well, just very relaxed, no resistance. Just finding the movements very easy, very fluent. That they looked a great partnership.
And how much of that is training that's done at home? Because the horse there looked really established in everything.
Yes, no, he's obviously, the horse's temperament comes into it, but he's showing very correct training.
38.8, new leader here, and our first combination to break into the 30s. Sam?
Yeah, well, we thought we might only see 2 or 3. That's the best test that horse has produced at this level of competition, and you shouldn't be surprised that Oliver Townend has got the best out of his horse on the occasion that matters, and that's what defines people like Oliver, who's won Badminton, he's won Burghley, he's really is top class, and that has put a whole new perspective on this competition, because the man who won it last year and he won the series last year, he's back and he's put his intentions down.
So Oliver Townend, new leader, noteworthy, out in front, 38.8. But what can this man do? He is the only rider to win an Event Rider Masters leg by finishing on his dressage score. That was Bramham leg 2 last year, and it is Alex Huatian. 1 in a billion. Alex coming forward with Don Janeiro for China. And Don Janeiro went out to Jardy for leg 4. Things didn't go to plan in Jardy. The horse was exceptionally hot in all 3 phases. Alex has been working really, really hard with him. And I mean, he's a horse that's very experienced now, been top 10 at Olympic Games, only a 10-year-old. But he certainly has seen a screen or 2 in his lifetime. And fingers crossed, Alex has got a lid on the tension here today.
Yeah, certainly. This horse has all the talent and the ability. 37.3 was what they scored at Barbary 2 years ago when they were just 8 years old, and he's now 10. And it's a question sometimes with these horses whether they get older and wiser, or they get older and a little bit more mischievous. So we'll see. He's definitely got his ears pricked and he's alert, but hopefully he stays on the right side.
It was quite interesting. Mark Ruddock, who was our dressage expert this morning, was saying that he judged this horse actually in the British Dressage Regionals a few weeks ago, and he said that he thought he was looking very good. So fingers crossed he doesn't think he's out at a cross-country party and get overexcited again.
Well, there's every possibility up at the dressage in that it's a very quiet atmosphere. I judged him in Jardy actually, so
did you?
I'm delighted to see how relaxed he is, and Alex did such a good job at Jardy because he was so patient, and the horse would have only have benefited and come out hopefully this time in a much more relaxed frame of mind.
And of course that feeling of a horse who is always on the edge, but that the amount of power that is in that trot work there. If you can keep the right side of the line, it's going to work for you. It's going to make a very impressive picture, as we're seeing here.
I mean, that is beautiful.
Has the most lovely elevated cadence, doesn't he?
He does still look on the sharp side, though.
You can almost see the horse taking a deep breath as he halts.
Not the best round, not the best rein back, and we'd like him just to be a little bit, as you say, on the edge, just a little bit lower in the neck and rounder over his back. But as you say, it's such a fine line between have that lovely expressive trot and
the wow factor.
Yes.
Andrew, we were talking about the difference in the 2 3-star tests, in that we've seen the test with the walk pirouettes quite a lot this season. This one doesn't have them. As a judge, are you a fan of the walk pirouettes, or what do you think?
Well, I am actually,
yeah.
Because it's nice actually in the walk to do something with the horse rather than just have to sit and suffer. And it's such a good training exercise that we do so much at home, as I'm sure you would appreciate. And so I have to say I am quite a fan. I know possibly a lot of the riders aren't so much.
And I imagine Alex is quite pleased that there isn't as much walk in this test today. Although
it can, just when if you don't have that relaxation that you want, then it can be an excuse for them to get a little bit tense. So we've seen a few horses today, a little bit like Don Janeiro, who've been a little bit on the edge, and the fact that they can just have a breather nearly in the walk and relax just for 30 seconds and then pick up the canter, it probably has just helped them. He's going to have a job here, isn't he? He's so close to that line.
Alex is doing an incredible job of just keeping a lid on it. Penalty score with that collected canter, the 2 4s and the 5, really does drop that penalty score down.
Just a pity he made just that silly mistake in the wrong strike off, but Alex corrected it so well.
When you're on a horse that is a little bit hot, like Don Janeiro, and you do have an extended canter, how much do you go? Or do you think, I'm just going to keep some back here because I don't know if I'll stop?
Yeah, no, I think you have to. But in some ways, it's a way of just letting the steam out of the kettle and just letting the horse just soften and express itself. But as you say, sometimes when you bring them back, then it's a little bit more difficult.
It's a nice expression, letting the steam out of the kettle. But yeah, that outline, the neck, you can see the just verging on being a little bit tight, and maybe in the medium and the extended it's an opportunity to just soften it in. Trying to keep this counter balance, which he's managed to do. So it's definitely a big step forward from Jardy.
The horse is so incredibly talented though, isn't he?
Oh, he is. I mean, as you say, he's got such power.
Well, the scores are still good. There's been plenty of 8s, and despite the odd mistake, he is still trending early mid-40s. So he's not going to challenge our leader of Oliver Townend, and noteworthy, but he could go head-to-head with Tim Price, depending on these last couple of marks coming in. In terms of the sort of the tenseness that's come through in that test, Angela, how would that affect your submission marks?
Yes, no, I think he'd obviously get lovely marks for his paces. The impulsion, he could be a little bit softer between on his top line, and the submission, because he became, as you say, a little bit tight in the neck, and he made that one little mistake, the submission would be slightly lower, possibly.
I think that's definitely got the wheels back on the wagon there.
Definitely. Yeah. I think Alex is going to be pretty pleased with that, because the horse, while tense, he kept it all together, and he, as a whole, did a super test. And I think the only reason that we're sort of saying that is because the horse was so capable of scoring incredible marks, but it is still going to be a very good mark. He's going to be challenging for second. We're waiting for that score to come in from our ground jury. And 42.0. He goes second. He won at Bramham last year with a 41 in the dressage. What can he do here at Gatcombe? Leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. But Alex Huatian, Don Janeiro for China, goes second. Well, our leader is last year's series champion, and Alice is talking to a very happy man, I imagine.
Ollie, you smashed it.
Yeah, good boy. Very pleased with him. Mr. Cawthray has been with me for a lot of years, and I love riding good horses for him. He's had a good few winners here, so let's hope that this horse keeps going the same way.
I know, and we all know the owners are the backbone of the sport. Mr. Cawthray, he's someone who absolutely epitomises the event horse owner in the support he's given you.
Yeah, he's a man that I just love riding for. He's my main boss really over the last 10 years, and he's certainly altered my life for the better. So no, it's thanks to him that we're here, and hopefully his horse will deliver.
Now, Event Rider Masters, this time last year you had about 12 points going into this leg, and we thought, what's going on? We thought you were going to dominate the series, and then you did. You wowed us all in the next few legs. It's been a quiet old build up to this leg again this year, but you've got a few more points on the board.
Yeah, early on in the season I was concentrating on, you know, trying to get horses to badminton and horses qualified for the European Championships, and that's done now, so that leaves a few horses for the Event Rider Masters, which is, you know, the biggest step forwards in our sport. I love competing in it, and hopefully now the results will start coming in.
Oh, that's a warning shot for the rest of the riders. Well, a great start here. We know you're good around this course. You were the champion last year. Fingers crossed it all goes well.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, he is a man to keep an eye on in the jumping phases tomorrow. But we turn our attentions now to the second Italian rider here, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. Joining me in the studio, echo-rating Sam Watson and our international dressage judge, Angela Tucker. And it is Vittoria Panizon and Borough Pennies coming forward for herself and for owner Sally Bullen. There's a combination that went very well at Chatsworth, actually, in leg 1 of the series this year. Finished 10th. Did a very good double clear, 14 years of age now at Borough Pennies, but has been such a superstar for Vittoria over the last couple of years. Rode in London at the Olympic Games, finished just outside the top 10, 11th place, and again, were 8th place at Malmo at the European Championships back in 2013. I think it's easy to forget, Sam, how long this combination have been at the very top of their game.
They have. They've been a great combination, been to badminton, and really they've been everywhere together, and a spectacular picture as well, which is why I think, again, the public have really taken this combination you know, to their hearts, and just be interesting to see, can they get back to their best. They're twice at Belton, they've broken that 40 barrier and gone into the 30s, so let's see what they can do today.
First impressions, Angela?
Very nice rein back there.
We've been looking at the rein back a lot this morning, and Mark was saying how difficult it is to get one, and when you do see one as a judge, you really want to reward it.
Absolutely, and I mean, when you think about it, in this test there's 3 halts, and you know, that's 30 marks that you need to just try and pocket. But as you say, the rein back is quite difficult to show those generous diagonal steps that she did there.
She's got a fantastic canter, this horse, so if she can get through the trot work, trending around that 42 mark, relax in the walk and then into the canter, we could be on quite a roll here with these top tests that are starting to come out after lunch. So from 16 CIC3 stars that they've done over the last 7 seasons, and they average a 47, but as I say, they have gone lower, so we know it can go either way, and it's quite a trend with a lot of these event horses, these very good event horses who are bred to gallop and jump, and they don't always pay attention in the dressage like they should, but fingers crossed for this pair, it's going well.
Just lost a little bit of straightness there onto the centre line, didn't she, and just began the half pass where she needed a little bit more positioning with the shoulder there. So in that counter, we're looking for the suppleness, just a little bit more carriage, that little bit more up through her shoulder.
It's starting to show through actually on the grey horses, an indication of just how muddy it is, because her back legs, it's it really had, the sun thankfully is coming back out again, but Gatcombe really has taken on a lot of rain the last week.
That's the difficult bit, isn't it, when the ground gets a little bit soft. She was quite brave in the extended canter, but then coming onto the half circle for the medium canter just lost a little bit of footing there.
Walk us through, because that movement is the extended canter, then on the half circle you go back to medium, don't you? What as a judge are you looking for? Is it the clear difference?
Yes, I mean obviously the extended canter, the judges at the front can see the straightness and the judges on the side, the uphill ground cover, and then they just need to have a little balance while they turn onto the half circle for the medium, and then once they've done that little bit of balance, then go forward again so that they then do show.
Nice expressive change.
Now that score's just crept up slightly. A couple of 4s and some 5s came in and just dropped to sub 50. But in terms of the series, Sam, let's just talk about Vittoria for a moment, because she's 9th on the series leaderboard with 32 points. She's one that this weekend could put in a big challenge.
Yeah, I think the rider who's going to go on and win this series wants to have over 50 points coming out of Gatcombe. That would be my thought. That's if they have 2 horses that can go on to Blair and Blenheim as well. So she can get out. She could get to over 50. You know, a top 5 finish here, and she's still in with a chance. And never underestimate her. She's as competitive as you know. We were talking to Janelle Price earlier, and these guys, they're top competitors.
She is a tough cookie. But Angela, just talk us through your overall thoughts on the test, because actually the trot work was trending low 40s, but it just crept up slightly.
Yes, she, I think, could just show a little bit more carriage and suppleness. But very solid. Just in the canter, I think she just lost that little bit of suppleness and elasticity. And just was a little bit croup high on one of the changes, a little bit high behind instead of sitting and showing that expressive uphill feel to the change.
So Vittoria Panizon and Borough Pennies, her ride from the London Olympics, they finished their test here in leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. The leader at the moment, Oliver Townend, noteworthy. Their score has been confirmed as 38.9, so they're out in front. I don't think Vittoria is going to be able to challenge the top 4. She might just sneak into the top 5. We'll just wait for that score to come through, and we'll actually welcome our ground jury, Andrew Benny for New Zealand. He's the president of the ground jury, so he's situated at C. Jane Holderness-Rodham for Great Britain will be situated at B, and completing the ground jury at H. Annabelle Scrimmager for Great Britain is the 3rd member of the trio. So into 6th, 48.7 for Vittoria Panizon for Italy, Borough Pennies. But let's go down to Alice, who's talking to the man in 2nd, Alex Suatian, with 42.0.
Phew, Alex, phew. Jardy, we did not like seeing the Don as hot as he was.
Yes, no, I'm much happier with where we were today. I mean, he was still hot enough. I still had a bit of managing to do, but he was at least rideable. We've worked quite a lot the last couple of weeks with my other half, Sarah Higgins, and who's a dressage rider, and Peter Storr, who trains us on the flat. I took him dressaging on Thursday, 2 days ago, just to get him out in some boards, and it seems to have worked this time.
But it's interesting, isn't it? Because you were saying before, he's been a star all the way through. He's been at championships every autumn of his life. And this is the first year where you can take a breath with him, and he's gone poof.
That's it, yeah. You know, he started eventing when he was 6, and autumn of his 6th year is Le Lion, autumn of the 7th for Le Lion. That's the Young Horse World Championships. And then 8, he was at CCI 3-star, 9, he was at the Olympics. And this year is the first year he's in his comfort zone. And I think he's just flourished, but perhaps not in the way we really wanted him to.
Well, it's a tough cross country. You've laid down a good marker, 2nd at the moment. Let's hope you can hold that good position.
Thank you.
Well, one of 4 former leg winners in the field, Alex. Great to see him and Don Gennaro back on top form. But now we turn our attentions to the man who shot himself onto the world stage last year, finished 5th at Po on this very horse. It is Alex Bragg with Sally Ellicott. Zagreb also had a number of top 10 placings at this level. So unlucky not to be selected to represent Great Britain at the European Championships in Stragom, actually named as 2nd reserve. And when Alice spoke to Alex this morning, he was a man that looked like he had a bit of a point to prove this weekend.
I think he'll certainly be doing that. Such an exciting combination. You know, they were unlucky not to complete badminton, but they had produced a really good test and a good cross-country round. And then they came out at Barbary Castle and put a 41.4 on the board. the best test this horse has ever produced, the best 3-star test that Alex has ever performed. So for Great Britain, we've talked about this rebuilding project that they've got to come back and challenge the Germans and the French and the Kiwis and the Australians for these gold medals, and this man could be a part of that.
Angela, have you seen this combination before?
I'm ashamed to say I haven't. I saw him very impressively cross country at Babington, and he had a very good result at Aachen, didn't he?
Top 10, best of the Brits. 8th, I think he finished.
But he's giving a very good performance, very level, consistent performance.
And that's just an example, actually, of how diverse our sport is, because in Aachen, which was the horse's last run, an enormous stadium on a surface, then he comes to Gatcombe, where the dressage is a little bit more remote, it's a bit quieter, some horses like a bigger atmosphere, there's a whole different host of challenges, and yet he looks very similar to both.
Yes, no, I think he's got the most, both horse and rider have a wonderful temperament. Just looks as though he's completely in tune with his rider, doesn't he?
He's the most stunning horse to look at. When you're up close, he's absolutely beautiful. He's huge, but beautiful.
The type of form that he's in at the moment, and the last 12 months that he's had, we've got 86 internationals in our system here for Alex since 2010, so he's competed a lot, but his best dressage score is a 41.4, which he produced at Barbary, and you just feel he's still going in that direction. And it's not going to be, I mean, he's 41.3 at the moment, so he's trending right on his career best, and I think it's not too long before his dressage scores begin with a 3, that he breaks that barrier.
Well, will it be today, Jane? Can he pull enough out in these last few movements?
Certainly going in that direction, isn't he?
Oh.
Just a little bit modest, that extended and medium. He perhaps just playing it a tiny bit safe there.
More Ed Sheeran in the background.
Everybody loves Ed Sheeran as their music selections. He is the most popular artist, I think.
Angela, can you hear the music quite clearly as a judge? Is it quite loud down there in the judge's box?
We did turn it down slightly at Jardy, but Chatsworth it was just right.
Did you enjoy it?
Oh yes, and I tell you what was so lovely. Well, probably I don't know whether it was legal or not, but some of them were singing along with it, which certainly relaxed them and the horses. I think they picked the music they enjoyed, and Bettina was singing along with it.
Well, it obviously worked. Just seen some 8s for that half past. The penalty scores crept back up. I'm hoping that's going to just drop slightly. See what it would be that would have caused it to drop so significantly then.
No, I think we're just having a...
Ah, there we go. We're back
going.
to it. Slow button presser. That's okay. It's better that they take the time, get it right. That's okay. So 41.7. We're looking at a man who should go second at the moment. What a test from Alex Bragg and Zagreb for Great Britain. Sally Ellicott owns this horse. The Ellicotts have been such huge supporters of Alex and his wife Simone for many, many years now. And I'm sure Alex would be absolutely delighted to pull out a big performance this weekend. Now, Sam, did you say that his personal best at this level was 41.4?
His career best.
His career best.
41.4, so he is right on the line. It really does summarise the type of form that this guy's in, and we see it in all types of sport, but when the penny starts to drop and form starts to kick in, they just keep peaking.
And confidence is such a big part, Angela. A rider that rides with confidence, how much does that mean?
Yes, a tremendous amount. And, you know, he would have had, a great boost from Aachen.
Well, we're waiting for this score to come in. Alex Bragg and Zagreb, we think he's going to go second. He does, 41.5, not quite a career best, but good enough. He goes second. Let's, in the meantime, go down to Alice because the sun is shining and I think I see some blue sky.
Victoria, we were just saying, I said please, and you were like, kind of.
Well, I was pleased because she felt really calm, and I felt like she was trying hard and doing a good job mostly in the first half, and then she slipped in the medium canter, which was just bad luck. It's obviously a bit wet and muddy in there. And that was a shame because that's normally where we try and grab some marks. But there are a couple of things in the canter that she doesn't like doing in the ring. She can, but I find myself a bit powerless. So on the whole, I was actually pleased she felt calm and nice to sit on.
Do you know, everyone was watching her just going, this horse is a 1 in a million. You know, you don't see horses like there will never be another Borough Penny. She is just extraordinary. And your partnership together, we talk about partnerships, but you two really have a special one.
Well, such as I just put up with the fact she won't do left canter half pass in the ring. Never mind, yes, we'll do a diagonal, Pennies, that's fine. We'll carry on.
Hey, let's focus on the positives. It's the jumping, it's not the canter half pass that defines this little horse.
Yeah, she's obviously dying to get out jumping, but I was pleased she felt calm today, and I just hope we're fit enough to cope for obviously wet conditions. I'm sure the ground will hold very well under the circumstances, but we have had a lot of rain, and Bryony spent hours getting her really white and clean, I promise, but no doubt she probably didn't look that white in the ring.
She did. Hashtag Supergroom, Bryony, hashtag Supergroom. Listen, we're going to get to our next video. We know you're going to be a climber. Well done so far.
Thank you.
Well, it goes back to, again, you have to ride what is underneath you. But what can this combination do? Because Marcio George for Brazil, Lissy Mack, where he comes forward on this, the horse that actually held the best dressage in Event Rider Masters history for a very long time, was unfortunately for Marcio, fortunately for Thomas Carlyle, just pipped to the post with a new record set at Barbary this year. But 32.5, that was the record, Sam, for a very long time with Lissy Macware. Should we be expecting more of the same today?
Well, it's an interesting one. She's actually only gone below 40 twice in her career, but when she's done it, she's hit 32.5 and 35.7. So on her day, and look at, you can see the ability. When she puts a full test together, she really scores very, very well. And it's what I love about the Masters is, you know, particularly with the seeding, you have a nice lunge here, you come in, and horse after horse that have come in are just beautiful.
Yeah, I know she's really expressive in her trot, isn't she? Really bends her joints and covers the ground.
Now, Marcio didn't have the happiest times in the dressage at Barbary, but as a rider now, you would put that behind them. If you were training him, that's a different day. It's happened, it's gone, it's in the past, you move on.
Yeah, no, that was, I understand, really unfortunate in that he learnt the wrong test, I think, possibly, but so there was a bit of confusion, but I know he was so disappointed about that, and as you say, he's going to put it behind him and really give a good showing here.
Interesting, in the walk, he's really riding off the fingertips. He's being careful not to let the nose go completely. Maybe she might lose control altogether if he did. Interesting.
That's the sort of ring craft they need, isn't it, to be able to show that you're giving the rein, but actually still just have them on the tips of your fingers.
Now, Marcio is another one in the series because he has 37 points in the series. He's well inside the top 10. He's in 7th position. Now, he was 8th at Wiesbaden, 9th at Chatsworth. A good result this weekend puts him again as another contender forward for that series prize.
Yeah, we're looking at targets here. Gemma Tattersall, if she has the weekend that we think she could actually get to 100 points this weekend. And is your best 4 performances, probably reckon that it's going to be around 110 points that wins this. So mathematically, this man has a chance. Late flying change isn't going to help.
That was a pity because he rode the counter-canter and the Serpentine really well. It'd be interesting to watch him on the next one, in that after the half pass, when they go into counter-canter, if they can be confident that they can ride deep into that corner in the counter-canter, and then they can just cut the next corner a little bit when they start the loop. It's a very good money earner, mark earner, if they can show that they can really show that they have the control and the balance necessary to go quite deep into the corner in the counter-canter, especially when it's quite deep here. He's showing that he can go quite deep in the corner there, and then a little bit more away from the corner when he starts the half circle for the Serpentine.
It's a really nice test, and it's not far off with it. He's going to have to get this flying change right.
Yes. Now if he can do a square, a turn off the side to really straighten the horse before. Just needed a little bit more engagement there, didn't he?
Plenty of 8s on the board at the moment. 41.4 he's trending. He's not going to challenge our lead of Oliver Townend. 38.7 I don't think, but this is still a very good score, and still a score that could go sub 40.
You really noticed a big rise in the standard of dressage, because every test we've seen since the break has actually been great quality.
So, our sole Brazilian rider in the field, Marcio George, Lissy McWayer. What will their final penalty score be? We're waiting for those final scores to come in. He's looking to go into second at the moment. Alex Bragg currently in second, 41.5. Oliver Townend out in front, 38.7. He's not going to challenge Oliver. He could just sneak under 40. Do you think the collectives will bring them down enough?
I see. Yes, I see no reason why not.
Okay, what would the 4 collective marks, as a judge, what would you have given that test?
7.5 for the paces, 7.5 impulsion, 8 submission, and 8.5 for the rider.
We like it. We do like it. And don't forget that you can get involved as well. Make sure you download the SAP Audience Judging app. You can find it for free in your app store. You can judge along with all of our combinations as their tests are going on. But that was a very good test. We're expecting him to go second. Just waiting for these final judges' marks to come through. The judges just making sure that they put their collective marks in. They'll be writing their comments on the sheet as well. And it is all change at the top of the leaderboard.
There we go, 39.9.
Into second. So 2 combinations have gone sub 40. What a test from Marcio George. And it again, all about the series points. But one man who's just slipped down into third. But a super test for Alex Bragg and Zagreb. And Alex is with Alice.
Well, Alex, we've just seen the Brazilian rider go ahead of you with 39, but third. You must have been pleased with your boy.
Yeah, really pleased. You know, conditions on the ground for a big horse is very slippy because we've had a lot of rain. So I felt in the canter work he just lost a little bit of purchase there, and I had to be a little bit safe. So maybe that's where I lost those couple of marks. But, you know, thrilled with him, actually, really.
The trot work looks lovely. He's so up in front, isn't he? He's a great big flashy horse.
Yeah, he really swings through his back and comes up through the shoulder. So, yeah, I mean, he's really impressive. And, you know, as we get more solid, you know, with these performances, we can really then push for those kind of like hopefully mid-30s scores in the future. But because he is so big, it has taken him a little bit of time.
But you must be thrilled now with his consistency, because he is now nailing this sort of mark week after week.
Yeah, and that's the aim, really, is the fact that there's no point in having one flash mark and then one dud mark. So you know, this is the way you need to be, and this is maybe what will impress that I haven't impressed enough so far. So.
Well, come on, we need to see some speed tomorrow cross country, nice clean jumping.
Alice, eye of the tiger.
You got it, mate.
Got it.
He's a man on a mission. Alex Bragg, one to watch tomorrow. But now we turn our attentions to Harry Mead. Harry coming forward with away cruising for owner Charlotte Opperman. Harry, so experienced, won a team silver at the World Games a couple of years ago. Has a really good team of horses, and this very much his top horse at 4-star level. Actually went to Le Moulin, finished in the top 15 back in June, competed at Chatsworth in the Event Rider Masters leg and did a good test. Things didn't quite go to plan in the show jumping, and then they picked up 20 penalties across the country, but they've shown some very good form since then. No better man on board. He's an incredibly elegant rider, isn't he, Angela?
Absolutely, and just like his dad, late dad, he's able to produce the test and give a really accurate movements and sit really well. And
a lovely picture,
yes,
an overall
yes.
picture.
And he's a grey horse. Not it looks very clean, and Harry's got the most amazing groom, Jess, who looks after all the horses with the great team at home.
It does take a hugely dedicated team behind the scenes to put any event team on the road. So make sure you vote for your ERM Supergroom. You can use the hashtag ERM Supergroom on Twitter, and you can vote for that team that you think goes above and beyond. And I have to say, producing a horse that is this white and sparkly in weather like today is no easy feat.
Just look at when he turns, just look at how many plats he's got in.
This horse, his career best is a 40.3, which he actually did at 2-star level, and that was Barbary 2 years ago. So this is actually so far one of the best, well, the best test that this horse has ever done if he can hold it together, and one of Harry's best ever tests at this level as well.
So far, so good. Going into the canter work, Angela, there's obviously only the 2 tests at 3-star level that happen. These horses come out week after week, and many of them have been competing for a number of years. They're very crafty, aren't they? They do learn. How do you combat that, or can you just have to accept it to an extent?
Well, I think the worst bit is the walk, obviously, because they always know they have extended walk, medium walk, and probably canter. So if the riders are a little bit crafty, then they might canter a little bit before the movement, not that they show too much medium walk. So it's difficult for the judges because they have to give a mark for the medium walk, but they only see a little bit round the corner before they start the extended walk. And then that little bit that is going away from them, not the side judge, but the 2 top judges, it's going away from them. So they're normally pretty crafty and get out of walk pretty quick.
Pretty upbeat music from Harry Mead.
Yes.
It is, isn't it?
He's getting quite cool, isn't he? In his
I'd be careful what you say there, Sam.
yeah, we've got quite a similar profile, so I can't really put him. He's got 2 children as well.
Bit of Michael Jackson. Well, that flying change, unfortunately, quite costly for Harry, but still a very good score at the moment. He can pull it back down with a clean finish.
Would you like to see a bit more oomph in the canter?
Yes, I know he is a very laid-back horse, and he's quite. I have actually ridden him, and he's quite hard work. But Harry is making it look very easy. But I know he is actually, you know, he's a lovely, relaxed horse, but he's a big, and you know, he can be quite hard work. But Harry's making it look very easy. But as you say, he could just perhaps on the collectives, on the impulsion, it might come down a little bit. I'm afraid that will as well.
So what happened there? He changed in front, not behind?
Yes, or? Yes, and as you rightly said, because he's difficult to get the energy in the canter, which is what you need for the change.
Which is like a good car with the engine in the back, not on the front.
What sort of marks does this horse generally get, Sam? What are we?
He's got averages in the around 47. So this season exactly 47, and at 3-star level, this is his 8th CIC 3-star, and he's been averaging 47.9. So he's obviously very consistent. You can see that in his temperament, and he's going to end up around the same place. So but just a shame because that trot work was really nice to start with.
What could he do to take that canter work to keep the low 40s? Angela, what would be the...
I think lots of transitions to get him in front of the leg. I mean, I'm sure probably outside, he would probably carry a stick outside and just give him the odd little flick to encourage him just to be a little bit quicker with the hind leg and get him more in front. But the transitions get the horse between your leg and your hand, and that, I think that's what he would be doing forward and back just to keep him in front of him.
So Harry Mead and his 4-star campaigner away cruising, finishing their test, looking likely to go inside the top 10. We're just waiting for the judges to put their final marks in, and we'll have a score for Harry very shortly. Our leader at the moment, Oliver Townend, with noteworthy 38.7. He's out in front for Great Britain, ahead of Brazil's Marcio George, 39.9. Well, into 6th for Harry, 46.1. I think he'll be pretty pleased with that. That was a very good test from him. But we've just said Marcio into 2nd on that score of 39.9. And he is talking to Alice.
Yeah, I don't only have Marcio, I have Marcio and the entire George family. Great to have you here, gang.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now, girls, let's ask you first of all, were you proud of Dad's test?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
What about you? What did you think? Could have been better?
A little bit, but it was good.
You've got tough critics. You've got tough critics. She looked fabulous, your horse.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm very proud of her. She was very relaxed today here, and I'm proud. I think she did nice test. It's a shame the first change is a little bit late, but it's happened.
Now, last year we saw you on her at Barbary, and it was really emotional. She blew it out of the water. She was absolutely fantastic. Today, again, good. What do you make of her challenge with the cross country? You switched horses late to come here.
Yeah. I switched the horses because when I know the dressage is here, it's not in the main arena. I think this is good for her because don't have a big atmosphere. And I bring her because that I think we can be competitive in dressage in an environment like this.
And we know how fast you go as well. Speed is really important here at Gatcombe.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I never been here before, just a little Gatcombe, and I will see the course soon.
Well, we've been talking about it before, haven't we? It's crazy.
Yeah, well, let's see. I'll walk with him, and I normally get quite nervous.
Oh,
let's
no.
see.
Oh, no, well, you've got the girls to support you. Listen, better luck. Great start, sitting in second.
Thank you very much.
Well done, team.
Well, brilliant to see the whole George family there. We'll be looking forward to seeing Marcio across the country tomorrow. And Sam, that's just a bit of an indication. It is horses for courses, isn't it? And riders are very tactical about where they take their horses for the best possible results.
Yeah, I think that's hugely important and not to be underestimated or underplayed a lot. It's where, we see it in racing. That's where trainers really earn their money, is that they know what their horses' strengths and weaknesses are, and it makes absolute sense. We only see these horses at this level maybe 4 or 5 times a year, so there's no point taking them to a test that's not going to not just suit them but maximize their strengths as well. I think that's key, and we've definitely got some people in the field like Gemma Tattersall in a few horses' time who've bought the right horse for the right course.
Well, do you think the fact that he's not ridden at Gatcombe before is interesting, in that many of the riders in this class would be very experienced about knowing the quickest way around this track?
Yeah, I do think it comes into it. And I've got a couple of tracks at home in Ireland that I've ridden around a few times, and I definitely think it does come into it for sure. So we'll see. But having said that, sometimes you can be really on your toes and concentrating hugely when you don't know a track, and you don't let complacency come in. But riders at this level, they shouldn't really be complacent at all, should they?
Well, next to go, Francis Whittington comes forward with his great campaigner Hasty Imp, owned by Margaret Smith. This accommodation that went really well at Barbary, actually, in leg 3 of the Event Rider Masters this year. Did a 45.6 dressage, double clear, just added a few time penalties to actually finish in 8th place. And a horse that's actually very experienced at the highest level, completed badminton last year, has been clear across country there, completed Burley on a couple of occasions. He is a real superstar of a horse. Francis thinks a huge amount of him. And again, Francis, he's been targeting the Masters Series a little bit and has had some really good results.
Yeah, this horse's best test did come at badminton last year. He scored a 40 on that occasion, which is not an easy thing to do at badminton, so he's very capable. And I've done a bit of digging here. I'm looking at these riders at Gatcombe over the last 6 years. Oliver Townend has had 6 runs and he averages 38.6, and he comes out today and does a 38.7.
From the dressage?
Yeah, so he's
good grief.
But the second best dressage average at Gatcombe in this field is actually Francis with a 43.2. Quite a jump back from Oliver, but it's obviously a venue that Francis likes to come to, and we've just been talking about it. Riders do get a feel for certain courses and venues, and they like to target them.
First impressions, Angela?
Yes, I mean, very different mover to Alex's horse. He's, a little bit average in the trot, but he's really going to make up for that in that he did a good halt and rein back there.
And he looks a very relaxed but alert horse. So he's out there, he's paying attention, but he looks fairly rideable.
He does, and he's got a lovely walk, actually, loose in the shoulder and ground cover. He could just stretch a tiny bit more, but you can see he's over-tracking well, which is what the judges are looking for in the extended walk.
The over-track being where the back foot goes over where the front foot was.
Exactly, yes.
Really nice transition into canter. Francis is another
perfectionist, isn't he?
Yeah.
Very straight there. But really expressive canter, hasn't he? You know, for what he doesn't quite score so much in the trot, he's got, hopefully this canter work will bring him back up.
Penalty score is gradually dropping, an 8 for that half-pass right. Now to the flying change.
A little bit swingy, but as you say, the judges at the top would find that hard to see.
Is it a different viewpoint you get here with all the camera angles? Is it quite interesting?
Oh, very, yes, yeah. It's very definitely, you do get a different view when you're on the side. You can see much more of the horse's outline, whereas the judges at the C and H or M, they can very much see the straightness.
Actually is a very good test in so much as he's trending around the mid-40s. He scored 45.6 at Barbury. He's looking there or thereabouts again.
And he will, you know, he's had 6 internationals this season. He's been clear cross-country at 5 of those, clear show jumping at 4 of those. Francis is well able to ride a quick round around a place like Gatcombe, and this horse is, certainly he's by Master Imp, I think, it's thoroughbred, so these guys could be a...
How fast would Hasty Imp be across the country? Would he be one that would tackle the Gatcombe hills?
Well, his average time penalties from his 16 CIC 3-stars is 14 time penalties, but I would say Francis is using those to prepare him for some of the bigger events like Babington. He is a 4-star horse. From what we see with the horse and how he's bred and the pilot he's got on board, I would say that they could pull out a quick round if they wanted to.
So Francis Whittington, Hasty Imp, 44.4. Very good test for Francis. He goes 6th, and a combination that are certainly good jumpers. But Alice is down at the collecting ring. It is no longer raining, so let's go and see who she's caught up with now.
Nicole, we're getting so English about this, aren't we? We've got to start talking about the weather. It's beautiful sunshine, though, and I'm joined by Harry Mead, who's got a lovely smiley face, trending sub 40 till a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, he was lovely in the trot work and the walk, and just frustratingly I missed both changes, which was really expensive. But I'm delighted for where he is, and in a way to know that those are easily correctable. It's lots to play for next time.
Good to have you as part of the Masters, and you are renowned as one of the best cross-country riders in the world, and this is a cross-country test, isn't it? We keep going on about it, but this will not be a dressage competition, it's a 3-phase competition.
Yeah, and I think what you have at Gatcombe is obviously some quite tough combinations anyway, but the fact that you're almost like being in a tumble dryer the whole time, going up and down the hills, and then in this year with the wet going as well, it takes a lot of jumping. It's difficult to keep that fast rhythm up, not just because of the fitness of the horses, but also because of the fact that they're thanks,
Francis.
Also because they're constantly having to change their rhythm on the ups and downs. So my horse is a big gangly horse. He probably won't be going hell for leather, but he's hopefully one that I'm aiming for Burley, and it looks to give him a really good run round here, and great to be part of the ERM.
Well, great to have you here. Very best of luck.
Thank you.
So Harry Mead and away cruising, currently sitting in 7th, 46.1. But next to go, it is another grey, and it is Matthew Heath who takes the ride on Hazel Livesey's Cooley Lord Lux. This is a horse that was actually produced originally by Laura Collett and Flora Harris. Matt took on the ride this season, and they've had a good deal of success. Was 16th at Tattersalls in the CCI 3-star a little bit earlier on this spring, and actually went very well at Chatsworth as well. Finished top 5 on that occasion. And Matt has a really nice team of young horses. I think I'm right in saying he produced a big personal best in the dressage here at Gatcombe last year.
Well, he produced a 44.9 on One of a Kind at Gatcombe last year, which is a good test. And that 44-45 mark is where a lot of the good marks are coming in for Matt. His best test with this horse was a 44.8, which is what they did at Tattersalls earlier this season. So that's a good start from them. 7s and 7.5s. That will get you over the 45 barrier.
Yes, a little bit more average in the medium trot, but he did a really good job of showing the transitions, which does come into that movement as well. Nice and fluent in the shoulder in, just could have a little bit more positioning. That's being able to have the shoulders and quarters where you want in the half pass. The horse, but you've got to show that real power and expression.
The engine.
Yes, the quality of the trot. He will get pretty low score for that. Come on, that's it.
When you're just lacking a little bit of engine, Angela, and you have something like the extended to the medium, does that give you an opportunity to sort of go,
definitely.
Off we go?
Yeah, you know, I think probably
He's an interesting horse. Looking at his top 5 results, we've got 3 different riders that have produced them. So Laura Collett back at 1 and 2 star level, and then Flora Harris bringing the horse up to 3 star level, and Matt now doing a good job with him this season.
So just coming to the end of his test, Matthew Heath with Hazel Livesey's Cooley Lord Lux. The Livesey family have been such huge supporters of Matt. Based now near Aylesbury, moved yards last season. And a shout out to Matt's super groom as well, because as we keep saying, it is hard to keep these horses so beautifully presented and turned out at all times. And it isn't just about turning them out. There is a huge amount that goes into grazing them, making sure that they've got everything they need. I mean, Angela, it really is. Every need that their horses have is attended to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they talk about 5-star accommodation most of these horses have.
Well, you can vote for your Supergroom using the hashtag ERM Supergroom, and hi-ho silver donator prize to each of the Supergrooms from each leg in the Event Rider Masters series. So make sure you get involved and get in touch with us on Twitter and on Facebook as well at Event Rider Masters. We have so much more to bring you throughout the afternoon, because we are coming up to the last combination to go before the final break of the day, and then we go into the top 8. The last 8 scores will no doubt shuffle that leaderboard. Our leader at the moment is Oliver Townend, 38.7 out in front at the moment. Marcio George, 39.9. The only 2 combinations to have broken that 40 barrier as things stand. Things didn't quite go to plan in Matt's test for him. A few problems in the changes means that he's going to be around the 50 penalty barrier. But there was a lot to like, Angela, and the trot work in particular was beautiful.
Yes, very much so. Everything looked very fluent and easy.
So 50.5 and into 12th for Matt Heath, Cooley Lord Lux. But let's go to Alice.
Well, Francis, we always love your smiley face on the Event Rider Masters, and I know you're enjoying taking part.
I think I've said to everybody before, I think this is a cracking event. We've got some wonderful supporters of the Event Rider Masters series, and you guys have been doing an amazing job to promote us, not just here in the UK, but globally as well. So thank you very much for everything you guys have been doing.
Well, the dressage score looked, you're not troubling the leaders, but you're certainly good enough when it comes to the jumping tomorrow.
That's it, and this year he's been working very well on the flat, and I'm pleased with him. We've got more we can improve on, but we've got the jumping and the cross country here with the times, everything to play for, so who knows what could be happening tomorrow afternoon.
And you're one of the riders we know and expect to go quick.
We'll certainly be doing that,
Good luck.
Thank you very much, thank you.
So what can this lady do? She is wearing the series armband because she is our current series leader. Gemma Tattersall with the Soul Syndicate's Arctic Soul. This is a horse who has been top 10 at badminton on a couple of occasions, finished in the top 3 2 years ago, was 7th there this year. And dressage wouldn't be his favourite of the 3 phases, but he is more than capable and a personal best in the first phase here at Gatcombe. Is that right, Sam?
Yeah, that's exactly right. 2015, a 40.2. That's the best test they've ever produced. This season, it's not quite at that level. They're averaging a 51.8, which is not what they will want here today. They'll want to keep it around that 70% mark, but you are looking at one of the best cross-country horses in the world, and certainly probably one of the top English cross-country horses as well. So here on home soil, they're going to be ones to watch tomorrow. So good start here is what they need.
The halt started really well there, and then he just stepped back, didn't he?
There's a very good Irish horse called Don't Step Back. I didn't know what it was referring to.
Yeah. And there, again, what they take into account in that rein back is the depart from it, and it should be direct, and she just had a few steps of walk in the depart there. But well positioned there in the half pass.
I think as long as this dressage test starts, you know, if you can keep it below the 50 mark, they're going to be very, very competitive. But the other question is going to be in the next phase with the show jumping. They'll they'll want to jump a clear round there, but it's really going to be fascinating tomorrow.
Again, showing good relaxation there. She was quite clever there because she didn't actually pick him up in the medium. She did the transition to canter more out of the extended walk, so he didn't get that he anticipated it. Again, good balance and positioning there, don't you think, Sam, in the canter half pass?
Yeah, this looks like his most comfortable gait.
Just putting a bit of life into the canter there in preparation for the change. It was absolutely spot on the centre line, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's really, really good riding from Jenna. We've seen her with quick look posting some serious scores, and Chica Bella P, that's where she's got her best mark at this level, is 32.7 at Houghton Hall last season. So Gemma becoming one of the really top riders in the dressage phase.
And in terms of the series, because last year she was a serious series contender going into Blenheim in the series finale. Things didn't go to plan, but she's come out this season. She obviously won the first leg at Chatsworth, but she wants this so badly this year.
Well, she's in a great position. I think if she was to finish on the podium this week, then I think she's got 2 legs where she's really got almost like a free shot at just trying to improve her overall scores, but I can't see her, if she's on the podium this weekend, I think she's on the podium for the overall series and possibly the winner of it. That's a nice position to be in, but there is work to do, even when you're sat on a horse as good as Arctic Soul.
Flying change good,
yes,
Angela?
Yes, very much within the canter stride, which is what you want to see.
I have to say, Spike, as he's known at home, isn't always this relaxed in the dressage, but it's quite quiet up there, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It's a lovely, quiet atmosphere, and the music really helps, I think. Wish we could have that all the time.
I think this has gone really according to plan for Gemma. I think she's going to be very happy. If I was a competitor trying to take her on this weekend, Arctic Soul is not a horse I want to see starting on a score below 45. He'll be difficult to catch.
And that is a Gemma Tattersall smile from ear to ear, because Arctic Soul, what a test from her cross-country machine. We know it isn't going to be a dressage competition this weekend. Arctic Soul, he knows that he can get onto the fun jumping now, and that is what he really does love, and he is one to keep an eye on in the next couple of phases, because Gemma, it is about the series as well as leg 5 here at Gatcombe, and she couldn't have got off to a better start there.
No, and she's, as you say, such a competitive rider in the other phases that is just set her up really well.
Sam, Arctic Soul is the fastest horse in the Echo Ratings database here this weekend?
He is on our ratings. You know, we look at places where he's made the time, like the Blair European Championships in 2015, really difficult testing conditions. It won't be too dissimilar to here, to be honest. There's mud and there are hills. And a 44.5, that's right up there with some of his best tests. It's going to be just outside his top 5 tests in his career, 6 best tests in his career. So pulling it out when she needs it, it's going to be very interesting.
Into 7th, Gemma Tattersall, Arctic Soul. They've laid down the series gauntlet this weekend, but we'll hear from Gemma a little bit later on. In the meantime, let's go to Alice.
Yeah, Matt Heath joins me now. Cooley Lord Lux, we've been used to seeing you with the Lion, who's become a bit of a friend of the series, but nice to see you on this flashy grey.
Yeah, he's a lovely horse. I've actually done better tests on him than that. He was a little bit disappointing today. It was a little bit struggling to get him going. He was a bit lazy with me almost. I think probably I gave him a bit too much work perhaps. Missed both his changes, made a few mistakes. He got a 44 in tats, and kind of that was where I was hoping to be around, but I don't think it'll make a huge amount of difference around here. I think that the cross country is going to be very influential. He's a good jumper. Certainly look forward to going and have a nice ride around on him anyway.
Is he a horse with a bit of pace?
Yeah, he's got a big rangy stride, so it's quite twisty out there. Whether that'll suit him, I don't really know. But you know, he's put himself in a place where I can go out and give him a nice ride and see how he feels out there. Really, he won't be, necessarily winning from there. I think there's probably quicker horses ahead of him. But he's got a name for Buccalow at the end of the year, and I think that track will really suit him.
Okay, listen, well done.
Thank you very much. Cheers, Alice.
Well, it's safe to say that the third session of dressage has shaken that leaderboard. Out in front, Oliver Townend, noteworthy, the first to go after lunch, 38.7. A now confirmed score actually for Lissy McWay and Marcio George of 40.0. So they currently sit in second. Alex Bragg and Zagreb 41.6, completing the top three. Great to see Alex Huatian and his Olympic horse Don Janeiro for China coming back to their best form, 41.9 here this weekend. Tim Price, he was our leader at lunch with Xavier Fair, now sits in fifth on 43.3. But the series leader, Gemma Tattersall, Arctic Soul, 44.5. We've just seen Gemma finishing her test. I'm sure she will be absolutely delighted with that. And let's go and hear from the lady herself who's talking to Alice.
I know, we love this twinkly face, don't we? She's always got a big smile on her face, and you were giving that little horse a huge hug.
Bless him, he's so good. He tried his little heart out there. I think that's one of the best tests he's ever done. I thought the judges were super mean to him, but I am over the moon with him. He just did everything I asked. I could ride him forward. He did super changes. Basically, he did everything I asked of him, and you can't ask for more than that.
No, because he is sometimes a little bit bright, isn't he? I mean, we know he's a thoroughbred, and he loves the jumping, he loves to gallop, and it's been quite often tricky to contain in the arena.
Yeah, absolutely. He gets worried and tense and scared, and he thought about it when he first came over here, and I said, no, come on, you're all right, and you know, worked him and pushed him forward, and he said, oh, okay, Mum, yeah, we'll do this. And he was really relaxed and probably the most rideable he's ever been, so I'm over the moon with him.
It's the first time you brought him to an ERM. What made that happen?
Well, I am ERM points leader at the moment.
Yeah, she's got the band. She's got the band. She's got the band.
Listen, he's super competitive normally here at Gatcombe with the hills and the terrain. He's a really fast horse, as we've already said. He's a thoroughbred. So, you know, it's not going to be a dressage competition here. I've walked the course. It's really tough. There's 4 waters, there's skinnies, there's up, downs, there's everything. So, you know, I'll be looking to be as quick and safe as possible.
Mm-hmm. And what about the show jumping? Because again, you know, we talk about the cross country here, but of course this is a 3-phase competition, and that is a tricky ring, isn't it? We've already seen it in other competitions here this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've just had a huge amount of rain today as well, so that's going to make it even more tricky. Di Body is doing the course, I believe, and her courses are always super tough. She's really clever as well, how she places the fences. Sometimes you don't even realise that a fence is tricky, but she's so clever and so experienced. So yeah, I mean, the show jumping, you know, this is not a dressage competition here at Gatcombe this weekend.
No, it certainly isn't. And what about the series, Jen? Because you made no bones about it. You were targeting the series last year, and it all just slightly went to pieces at the last leg. This year, everything seems to be going according to plan, Dol.
Let's hope we can keep it up, Al. Yeah, you know, that's why I bought this horse here. You know, he's on good form. And then I'm really hoping I'm going to have Pomero for at Blair, which is really exciting. It's a new ride for me. Rode him at Barbary. And then who knows for Blenheim? One of the girls, probably.
Yeah, because, I mean, for you, you've got the biggest team of horses you've ever had at this level, and it's come just at the right time for the series.
Yeah, it sure has. Obviously, Pomero was a complete surprise to me. That was certainly not a ride I was expecting to have at all. So that's been a real bonus. You know, he's probably going to do 2 of the legs, and without that, I might not have been able to compete in those 2. So I'm really grateful for that. And yeah, look, quick look. I mean, she's a fantastic horse. She's one of the best horses in the world. I'm so lucky. And then Chica Bella, she just comes out now and again when she decides that she wants to compete. And well, she's obviously brilliant. So I'm an incredibly lucky girl.
But Sarah Cohen, snapping at your heels, that lady. Those British girls at the top, she's putting the pressure on you. And we know also that Ollie Townend going into this leg last year only had 12 points and came out and won it. So you're not home and hosed, are you?
No, definitely not. You know, I've got some of the best riders in the world right behind me, snapping at my heels. You can never, ever, you know, say that Oliver is not going to be competitive. He is the ultimate professional and competitor. And Cutty, she's right up there. She's had some super results, and that horse will be really competitive here at Gatcombe as well.
tactically, is there anything different that you're doing, or do you just have to take each phase, each competition at a time?
Yeah, absolutely. And with horses, you never know what's going to happen. But I feel like I'm riding with a lot of confidence this year. I've come out, I've had some really positive results, and that always helps. You know, when you're on a roll, you're on a roll. And you know, I think I'm better at controlling my nerves and you know, keeping control of the nerves and putting things in perspective. And you know, at the end of the day, in our sport, in any sport, there's always another day, and it's having that perspective is really important.
You've had what, 9 top 5 placings CIC 3-star this season. Yes. Because, do you know what? We have some very good stats boys behind us. Obviously, I have no brain, but they are feeding me this information. And it looks like you could top the record that you had last year. Is this your best season ever, do you feel?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it is. I'd really like to win a long format 3 or 4 star. That's been my aim for a few years now, and I so nearly did it at Bramham this year. Had a stupid pole down with Quick Look, which is the first pole she's ever had down in a 3-day, so that was really silly of me. You know, yeah, that's my aim, is to try and win a long format, but certainly be competitive in all these ERM classes as well.
Well, why don't you just make it the European Championships?
I could do, couldn't I?
Because congratulations from all of us on the selection. Fantastic.
Thank you. It's really exciting, and I'm so pleased to be partnering Quick Look. She's a, you know, she's a fantastic, plucky little mare, and I can't wait.
Well, current series leader. She's with us, Gemma Tattersall's. She's got all to play for, but we keep on saying we're trying not to pile the pressure on Dal, but
thanks, Al.
there is still all to play for.
Thanks, Alice. So we are 3/4 of the way through the dressage here, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. Joining me in the studio for that last session of dressage, international judge Angela Tucker, and from Equa Ratings, Sam Watson as well. Guys, can we just take a moment to look back, because we've had some incredible tests. A few of our highlights. Angela, I'll start with you. What was the standout moment?
Well, I loved Alex's horse. I know it was a little bit on the edge, but that is just such an exciting horse to watch. And I think what is so much fun about judging and watching eventing dressage as opposed to pure dressage, dare I say it, is that there are so many different types of horses. And I mean, that horse, when it's relaxed, has the sort of power and expression that, you know, would do pure dressage. And then you get the very steady, consistent, really well-trained horses like Harry's horse and Matthew Heath's horse hasn't the same brilliance, but it's very relaxed and consistent. Though, you know, he had a bit of bad luck with the changes today. But the other horse that I really liked was Marcio's horse, you know, the mare. I thought she was lovely, you know, really active and bending the joints and a lovely attitude.
Well, it's certainly been an exciting afternoon. Sam, Equa Ratings highlights?
Well, I think Oliver Townend, I didn't think he was going to pull that out. He has sub 40, right up there with his Gatcombe average. He's an incredible man for hitting numbers. He does it day in, day out. And I think Gemma has absolutely done her job here. You know, if she was offered a score of 45, she was offered rain at Gatcombe, I think she is in a very, very good place. That does not mean it's done and dusted. I think the show jumping is going to be very, very influential. If you haven't been to Gatcombe, the show jumping arena here is undulating. The ground is going to be soft. And I think a horse that will suit is actually Burra Penny's, probably the best show jumper in the field, up there with the horse that we're actually going to see later, which is Toledo de Cursa with Tom McEwen. So it's the great thing about these sport. Where are the strengths and weaknesses of all of these guys? But we have seen some stunning dress as a huge step up in quality coming out after lunch today, and it was a brilliant session that we've just seen.
I have to say, I think my highlight would be Don Gennaro, because he was on the edge, but it was just brilliant to see the horse back at his very best. Angela, thank you so much. We've loved having you with us, and hopefully we'll get you back in again when you're not on a ground jury to join us. But let's go back to Alice, because she is talking to a man who's got a very busy couple of weeks coming up.
Yeah, I'm joined by 2 very grown-up Chris's in the sport. Chris Bartle, who's the performance director of the British team, and Chris Stone, who's the CEO of the Event Rider Masters. Thank you both for joining us. We're going to start off with you, Chris. It's been a busy time. The British team have made their selection, and you look like you've got a pretty nice team to go to Strasgum.
Yeah, I think we've got a really good squad, and I'm really looking forward to that. They're in great form, all 6 of them, and yeah, I think it's all to play for out there.
It's so exciting. It's obviously a really new era. Yogi Breiser and his team have done a fantastic job over the years, and you've taken over the reins, having been with the German team and had so much success. Is it a different pressure?
Yeah, it's different, but it's an interesting, challenging pressure, to be honest. Clearly they're in great form still. They're still a good squad. But I think we're going to make them have to work pretty hard. So I'm very confident as we go out there.
And having sort of seen the inside of the German team, do you bring a different slant to the Brits? Have we got a bit of an edge now because you know how they work?
Well, I don't think it's like that. When you're on a horse, you just do what you can with that horse at the time. So.
Oh, come on, Chris, surely, come on, you know the secret.
I won't be giving any secrets away here. No, I mean, at the end of the day, as I say, our guys are on their horses. They're all good horses, and as long as they produce personal bests on their horses, they'll give them a good run for their money.
Absolutely. Is there anything particularly stand out that maybe you've changed? Is there anything that we're suddenly going, oh, that's the Chris Bartle mark?
Well, it's nice to say I could identify the change, but to be honest, at the time when I was with Team Germany, I was very focused on Germany, and I didn't see or watch particularly what was going on in other camps. So all I can say is I bring across a philosophy which is one that I've developed over many years, and clearly worked with those ones, and I hope it'll work with my new team.
Yeah, so do we. Like to hear that, don't we, Chris?
We do, yeah. I'm looking forward to having a horse on the team. I hope she makes the team, but she's in the 6, so hopefully she'll make the team of 4.
Now, that is one of the most contentious things I've ever heard you say, because I'm not sure that Quick Look does belong to Chris Stone, does he?
Well, no, it's a complicated story, but it depends who you ask. If you ask my wife, I sold my share some time ago to create the syndicate. I think I probably held on to my share and she sold hers, but there you go.
Anyway, that's another story. But listen, the Event Rider Masters is going from strength to strength, and we've absolutely loved seeing you take the series into Europe.
Yeah, it was one of the ideas from the beginning, and indeed when we were talking to the FEI right at the beginning of the foundation of the series, the FEI said, well, okay, if we're going to give this our blessing, it has to be more than just a UK competition. So getting into Germany and France this year has been really important for us, and we've had fantastic competition. And the competition at Jardy, whatever it was, 3 weeks ago, was unbelievable. You know, the top 4 riders separated by 2 points was amazing. And you were just talking about the German team, and we were privileged to watch Michael Young ride a horse that I'd never heard of. And we watched Michael ride it, and he rode it like he rides all his horses, and they all seem to go the same way, which is fast and everywhere that he looks. It's amazing. Anyway, so for the ERM program, we're thrilled to be in Europe. Next year, fingers crossed, we might have a leg in the US. We're working very hard with a couple of event organisers over there to try and pull something off. And then the year after that, we're thinking about what we could do in Asia. So yeah, keep pushing forwards.
Well, that's good news, Chris, not only just hearing about the US, but also hearing the plans for next year and the year after. This is a series that's going to run and run.
Yeah, it definitely is going to run and run. It's making the whole sport much more exciting, not just for us who are participating on the ground, but for those fans of the sport who are watching from all the way around the world. It really broadens the sport hugely.
Chris, we've been talking about distribution and television, because this sport is about getting this program is about getting eyes on the sport, and then hopefully bringing money into the sport, because prize money has been an issue for so many years. What about the television distribution and the program that's been on Sky? How have the viewing figures been, and how's the distribution going?
So distribution has gone really well. We're in 43 countries, which I think is pretty amazing. And the viewing figures we don't know yet, because we don't get them back from the broadcasters until later this year. But what is amazing is the distribution online, so the online viewing figures and our Facebook Live minutes and all that, we are already more so far this season than we had for the total of last season. So we're growing at a rate of about 100% per event. Over 5 million people engaged with the Jardy program. It's amazing.
It really is amazing, and even by all your success in business, I think you've a few businesses you've looked at where you've thought, wish this increased by 100%.
Yeah, not everyone's a winner, as you know. It's a bit like horses. We are being really lucky, and what's making the series work is that the riders have really committed, and they're bringing great horses and they're riding to win. And that was always the big idea. You know, we need to show the best that this sport has to offer, but in a format that allows people to consume it and understand it. And so, you know, the 4 Stars, Badminton Burghley are amazing events, but they are a bit complicated and they're very long. Here we're able to produce the same quality horses with riders riding just as hard to win, but in a more condensed format that does make it easier for newcomers to the sport to understand, and that's where we're winning.
I suppose cricket has got the Test match in 2020. Eventing has Badminton and Burghley and the Event Rider Masters.
Yes, I mean, Badminton Burghley, the classics of the sport, will remain the classics of the sport. And I'm sure for those fans who are really into the sport, they will follow that forever. But this new format, this new series, as I say, broadens the appeal of the sport, and hopefully will bring a lot more committed fans into it, both as riders, potentially owners, certainly spectators, going forward.
And Chris, you've done a fantastic job with the commercials, and what wonderful partners to have in SAP and Land Rover and St James's Place. And any news moving forward in terms of those commercial partnerships?
Yeah, so we're negotiating hard. So all of our existing partners we're talking with about going again next year and for a longer period. So we're talking about 3 to 5 year deals. And I'll know by the end of the year. You know, you were talking about other businesses. So my wife and I are involved in a few businesses. The idea for Event Rider Masters was always to create a platform that brands could support by putting them at the heart of what we do. So as well as having great sport for consumers, we are trying really hard to give a platform, a marketing platform that our brand partners get benefit from. And yeah, they're hugely supportive and we're incredibly grateful.
Yeah, certainly. And the innovations that SAP are bringing with the Judges app, it's great to see. And I've seen some of the riders coming out going, hang on, the audience gave me 31, what's going on? It's going to make it a bit tricky for the judges.
Yeah, so you know, technology is touching all parts of our lives so quickly. And so we're trying to bring that new way of thinking, a new way of engaging through apps that we all use in every other part of our life, and we're trying to bring that to the sport. And SAP are loving the ability to take their, you know, incredibly high-level technical skills and apply them to our funny little sport and come up with this dressage judging app, come up with the live Run Live app. So, you know, the moving map is amazing, and you can see where every rider is, and, you know, the on-board camera shots that we had from Jardy last week. The first time anybody had ever been able to get live onboard camera shots into the live stream. It really makes you understand and get you closer to the action. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, it really does. And talking about places to host clients, I mean, you've been to events all over the world. When you come to places like Gatcombe, to go to Blair, you really realise from a commercial point of view what a great place to host clients.
Oh, it is absolutely. You know, when you're in such a fantastic outdoor area and yet still you bring that atmosphere together with the facilities they've got here at Gatcombe and at Blair, then you get the best of both worlds together, don't you?
It's interesting because you're certainly opening up an untapped jewel. There's no doubt about that. And your commercial partners who've come in with you already have realised that. And I know that there's a lot of other brands snapping around.
At the heels, yeah. I put my shiny shoes and carry my little briefcase, and we do lots of selling, lots of meetings, and lots of people want to meet us. And that's encouraging.
It's really exciting. Well, listen, Chris, everyone's so grateful for all the work that you're doing. Absolutely fantastic job. And very, very best of luck. Double gold, please.
Thank you. Yes, we'll bring that back. Thank you.
I want your old friends in Germany to be glaring at you across the podium.
Well, I shall be patting them on the back when I'm looking down at them in silver medal.
Thanks very much, guys.
Well, we've enjoyed a brilliant day of dressage so far, and great to hear from both Chris's there about both the Event Rider Masters and, of course, looking forward to Gatcombe in a couple of weeks' time. But joining us back in the studio, Mark Ruddock. And Mark, just give us your take on that third session of dressage.
Well, I thought, having been involved in quite a few of these series, that was the best 10 we've ever had bunched together. There wasn't one that blew. The consistency was just solid. I particularly like both Alex's, but Alexander Bragg's horse, I think, looks a dream to ride, actually. Alex, Chinese Alex, that I enjoy watching it. I don't think I'd like riding it. It looks tricky.
He was borderline on the edge,
He was,
wasn't he?
He was.
But he stayed the right side.
But everybody just brought their A game to it. Yeah, I think you can't really pick out one of those 10, as I say, rocking in my chair that's spinning around. Yeah, really good standard. Fantastic.
Well, we've been really lucky, but the man that is leading after the third session of dressage is Oliver Townend. 38.7, his current leading score. And let's take a closer look at his test and how all of the action unfolded when he was in the dressage arena, because he knocked Tim Price off the top spot.
Best 3-star result on his most recent run, but at Bramham, which wasn't that long ago, that was in the beginning of June, they performed a 50.8. So there's quite a range there in what they could have produced in this phase.
I actually watched this horse's test at Bergam just a week ago, and he scored sub 40.
But that test, I mean, Ollie comes in a perfect sort of centre line. And he has the right thing, the right balance of power, and he knows where he'll feel the ground a little bit. Built out the horse over X because it would be quite tacky and sticky, and he has the horse in a really good frame. And the judges these days don't like horses being shot at the neck. A few years ago, shot at the neck didn't ever seem to matter. It's now gone, and he just keeps it very open, the frame. And there hasn't been any horses behind the vertical today. Actually, it's been they're riding much more the back end, the engagement that judges want. That was a little 1 mark loss there. The half pass was really good, and you see the horse lost his quarters to the centre line. So Ollie could still look at this and think where he could pick up a few more marks. There was a little disturbance in the rhythm over the boggy bit through X. This will play a little bit this afternoon, I think, this going.
I think it's important to note, when Oliver came in, he was the first in after lunch, and we'd had so much rain that actually the sun's been shining and it must have dried up slightly.
But do we not go tacky? Do we go gluey? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. They're definitely sinking a little bit, and we saw it with I thought Borough Pennies as well. You know, she was struggling in it, but it was interesting that after this test we saw a couple of horses. I would have said Don Janeiro and probably Lissy McWare from Marcio Cavallo George with much more expression and movement. But
yeah.
Oliver is an absolute professional at squeezing every mark.
Yeah, he's so accurate and like straight to every movement. I think the trouble with this going is the horses that move lower to the ground, like the low wheel-based ones, will find this going difficult, where these bigger, powerful moving, whether they're Irish, warm blood, the bigger moving actioned horses. And you hear when you hear the racing, don't you? They say this one will win because it's
got an action.
Yeah. And it is the same on the flat, and it must be the same cross country as well. Some of them handle different ground, but I think the low moving horses struggle when it's like this on the flat. Because they're not getting any air above out the glue. So there's those that have got a bit more natural back-end engine engagement, impulsion, and probably the hotter horses are better in this because they get slightly slowed down in the bog.
He was so straight there when he came onto his centre line, and he makes sure he rides to every marker, because a lot of people have come up there, gone straight for half a second, and then they're into the half pass and trying to get a bit of a cheat, and he just shows, right, meant to be straight now, I'm straight, meant to be doing a half pass now.
Yeah. You know, and this isn't the most gifted of Ollie's horses in paces, but it is in its way of going, and that Ollie doesn't give the judges a reason to actually mark him down for anything. Like that flying change was so on the centre line, and so it makes them just go, well, I'm going to give him a 7, I'm going to give him an 8, and they just confidently are there with the marks. And I know when people go, it's because their names and stuff. It's not. The sort of riders coming up to this level need to watch the ones that have been doing this for years, and it's not that actually sometimes their horses are better. It's those squeaky little marks.
They never leave anything in the arena.
No, never.
And I have to say, what you have to do as a rider is you have to watch yourself back, because we get a great feeling off the horse. We think we've done a good job, but actually when you look how clinical a job Oliver's done, and there aren't that many riders at all. I mean, he's a top 10 rider in the world rankings. He's British #1 rider for a long time, and there's not many riders that will do quite as smart a job as that. And we've got to look at our performance back.
And it's actually, I think it's become so professional. It does go down to the nitty gritty. And like you say, you can think, well, my horse goes better than that. It probably does, but did you ride it as well? like there, he'll really show a transition, and the judge is like there. But it was a seamless transition. 1 minute I was medium canter, now I'm working. The horse goes without shortening its frame, and then it's in balance, and it's bang on that centre line.
And I think this was consistency is key, wasn't it?
Yep.
Because there were just 7s, 8s, more 8s,
Yep.
a few more 7s, but a few more 8s as well. So our leader, Oliver Townend, 38.7 with Noteworthy. And he is out in front as we head into this final session of dressage. But we all know how important owners are in the horse world. And one such owner is talking to Alice.
Yeah, Margaret Smith joins me now. We wanted to chat to some of the owners behind the scenes because they very often don't, they're the silent face of this sport and they're very much the backbone of the sport, as we know. And the Event Horse Owners Association has supported the Event Rider Masters from its inception. And we're pleased to have Margaret Smith with us. Margaret, you own horses with Francis Whittington.
Yes, I've had them with Francis for about 15 or 16 years. I think I was one of his first owners, me and another friend of mine. I've had several horses with him. The first one was a horse we called him Polo, but his proper name was Spin Doctor, and he went round Badminton and Burley, not terribly, but in those days they had to do steeplechase, roads and tracks, show jumping, and then cross country. I mean, it was very much changed today.
I know it was, and it's so funny, that seems like an age ago, doesn't it?
God, yes, it does. It makes me feel quite old. Well, let's face it, I am quite old.
It makes me feel old too.
Oh, gosh, I wish I was your age.
And what drew you to owning event horses?
What, sorry?
What made you own event horses in the first place?
I've always had horses of my own, you know, not since I was a child, because we lived in London and anyway, we could never afford them, you know, then. But directly I left school, horses was horses, and I had to go and work with them, you know. And that was hard work in those days for about £2.50 a week or something ridiculous. But I've always loved them very much. And then when I was working, so I had to take a full-time job eventually that paid a little bit more money. And once I had enough, then I bought them, and I did some little eventing, but only riding club stuff, nothing like this that frightened the life out of me. But
do you get nervous watching your horses?
Oh, terribly, yes. Even dressage, which is a pretty, well, I think that's one of the worst, really. It used to be show jumping, but his show jumping seems to have improved a little bit.
Do you do the leg thing with the show jumping?
Oh, yes, always, always.
The leg, everybody, it's so
go out by everybody does it, yeah.
What is it? Why do we think if we lift our leg, they're going to jump the jump?
No, but you can't help it. It just comes naturally.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? What's the best thing about owning an event horse?
Oh, well, that's a difficult question because it's frightening all the time you're watching. I suppose it makes the adrenaline, and I love watching them cross country, although you're petrified at every time it's come into view. But and the atmosphere at eventing is different from anywhere else. Everybody knows everybody, or they seem to, and it's like a big party every time I come, you know.
Well, it's brilliant, Margaret. You know, people like you who own these horses are what make this sport happen. So it's fantastic to hear from you. And thank you so much for your support of letting Hasty Imp be part of the Event Rider Masters.
Oh, he's a lovely boy and I love him dearly. And I love Francis too.
Well, good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, it is a real family in eventing, and there are so many people that are so important, both the grooms and owners. But here at the Event Rider Masters, well, there are lots and lots of ways you can keep up with all of the action throughout the weekend. Let's take a closer look. Well, we'll be turning our attentions to the final 8 horses to go very shortly here in the dressage, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. But one of the things about the Event Rider Masters is our partnership with technology giants SAP. And there are lots of really exciting ways for you at home to get involved.
I'm Henrike Pates. I'm heading the Equestrian Sponsorship Program at SAP. The partnership we have as official technology sponsor of Event Rider Masters is a co-innovation partnership. ERM and SAP will work together on finding challenges and solutions which we can solve with technology for the future of the sport. Spectator judging literally puts fans in the judge's seat. It allows them to co-score all of the riders live, compare their results in the app and even see the results on the big screens afterwards. The cross-country phase poses a particular challenge for the fans because the riders are out in the field and the fans cannot follow all of the time, so they miss information. So what we do as SAP is we are putting sensors on the riders to bring that data live for the fans to now have all the information at hand. They have an app where they can join the riders in the saddle and have a cockpit view of all the data. We are actually really excited about our relationship with Event Rider Masters. It's a true co-innovation partnership which already brought about a lot of exciting formats for the fans, and we are looking forward to what comes next.
Well, let's take a look at how you at home have judged our combinations. And actually, the SAP audience judging app, Alex Vatian out in front for China with Don Gennaro 39.8. Our actual leader, Oliver Townend, noteworthy, currently sitting in second on 41.4. Tim Price, Xavier Fair completing the top 3 as things stand. So a couple of differentiations between our ground jury and what you guys at home think. But, well, let's face it, it's the ground jury that have the final say. But still brilliant to see the knowledgeable audience coming forward and getting involved with the SAP audience scores. So let's take a look at what is still to come this afternoon. Sam, some Equi-Ratings ones to watch.
Well, I'm fascinated by Sir Mark Todd here with Cultured Rhapsody. They produced a PB on their last run, which was Samura 39.9. They just broke that 40 barrier. They'll be very interesting watch. And again, a guy who could jump out of the pack to become a bit of a dark horse to finish on the podium in the series. He's already got points. And then we've talked about him. That horse that's won a 4-star CP qualified, 9 sub 40 scores already. And Mark, you were talking about Sarah Cohen and Treason. I mean, they've been producing their best dressage this season. This is the best form they've ever been in.
Yeah, my only worry is that they're going to get bogged down before the end of as this arena cuts up, and the X and the A, when they rain back, they're going to get glued down into it. So actually, I think they may have a slight disadvantage with the going, but I want Shane Rose anyway. He needs to get over Barbary.
One that's quite intriguing for me is Izzy Taylor, Perfect Stranger, because he was a horse that actually was formerly ridden by Andrew Nicholson, finished top 10 at Le Moulin with Andrew. Izzy's recently taken on the ride and finished 3rd over in Ireland last week, I think, Sam.
She did. She ran him last weekend, and not slowly. He was quick. He was quick around there, so he's going to be fit, ready to rock. And Izzy is, again, a rider riding at the top of her game. She's in great form. She had the 1-2-3 in the 3-star in Ireland last weekend, and Perfect Stranger taking that 3rd spot.
Well, we talk a lot about confidence, and this lady will have a huge amount of that coming forward here. Izzy Taylor with Perfect Stranger, owned by Alex Phillips of Orange Eventing, and a horse that actually won on his first international start with Izzy just a few weeks ago in Mallow. And so she's been 1st and 3rd. And a horse, as I say, that has been top 10 at Le Moulin last year, finished 7th with Andrew Nicholson. So Perfect Stranger, bit of an unknown quantity on British soil with Izzy, but a very flashy horse, Mark.
Yeah, how lucky is he that he got even white socks? Because sometimes when they have one, you're a bit drawn to it, but very flashy, very good start. Quite a big horse for Izzy, actually, as well, isn't he? So not a normal time, but very rhythmical. But we're losing some energy there, but she's keeping, then she lost the line in the shoulder in. One of the most supple half passes we've seen all day. That really, she's saying to those judges, my horse bends. And they're like that.
Andrew actually got this horse at in the Gatcombe 3-star in 2015, so 2 years ago. They scored a 37.9, so we can see the class that this horse possesses.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that he's very supple, very active behind. And I was saying, horses that like mud, he has the way of going that likes mud, because he's really over the ground. The halt wasn't great, so if you haven't got a good halt, the rein back is not going to happen well, because they haven't started square, so the pairing isn't a diagonal step to start with. So too expensive, actually. You could call them mistakes, really, the halt and the rein back. And then here, he's not as supple to the, I'm getting confused now, left as he was to the right. So that would be, in your judge's mind, you'd be half a mark lower than you were on the good rein. And sometimes you say to your writer, what did I give it on the other rein? When you're thinking it was better or worse, and you go up or down. Because by this time of the day, sometimes you do need to ask your writers, what did I just give it? Because we are all human. Really relaxed in the walk, apart from the side judge will be seeing whatever he's doing with his mouth. You can see he's chomping, so it's showing a sign of tension, although the walk is quite good. And we will see whether that how tense he is when she picks him back up, whether he loses the walk or not. She hasn't. So actually, well ridden.
Oh,
well, I did. Oh. I was suspicious. So because he was playing with his tongue, wouldn't be surprised that he'd drawn his tongue back behind the bit. Hence why he threw it around. And hopefully he hasn't got his tongue over the bit and he's put it back where it should be. That was expensive.
Unfortunately, her penalty score rather plummets with that mistake and with the mistake in the halt and the rein back. But he looks much more settled now.
He does. I still think he's quite fussy in his mouth a little bit. Yeah, but I think she's just being fairly tactful now with it. You know, quite easy and nice. But I think she's going a little bit cautiously, because she's probably feeling something down the end of the reins. Like there, he could have been more flexible and have a little bit more curve on that circle through his body. We'll see the half pass is probably the giveaway to contact.
It's an interesting one because they could be competitive. Izzy's a seriously quick rider. She's had 2 runs with this horse, both in Ireland, 2 time penalties. Oops. 1.2, and now, so this is not the clear end in the dressage that we're looking for.
No, unfortunately, just slipped a change in there. So I would imagine with these mistakes, however fast you are in this field,
yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, I think even if he grew wings.
But he's also a very good show jumper. A long time since he last had a fence down. In fact, he hasn't with his last 3 riders. Izzy Taylor, Andrew Nicholson, Neil Spratt. Hasn't had a show jumping penalty.
Okay.
That will be influential here.
But like there, she's just sort of just tactfully getting him to the end of it.
I think he might have jumped Andrew off. I think he retired in the show jumping at Chatsworth because Andrew, but that wasn't knocking fences. That was unshipping the great man because he jumped so high.
I suppose if you got a fault, that's not a bad fault, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So the horse is, we know his quality. We've seen from these scores his quality, and he's still managing to pull with 3 big mistakes, a sub 50.
Yeah.
So
Izzy will be disappointed because she could have with jumping and speed. This horse finished on his dressage score at Le Moulin 4-star last year, so he was a 4-star horse already.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't there today in the arena, was it?
Yeah, I think it happened from that walk because he opened his mouth, and I think that then the tongue was doing something bizarre, and he luckily sorted it out when he did flip his head back and he flipped his tongue back to the right place. But horses do, don't they? They draw their tongues back and they go empty at the end of the rein, and you're like, we're in trouble.
Unfortunately, though, it is expensive on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
So Izzy Taylor, Perfect Stranger, we're waiting for a score to come in for her. Looking around the late 40s. Just some collectives coming in 48.9 as things that go, and actually finishes 48.2. Finishes 10th at the moment. And it must be said that actually, Mark, considering those mistakes, that's still a very, very good score.
Yeah, really good, because I mean the horse has got real quality.
I think that could.
Talented.
I think that phase that we've just seen there with that horse could cost them prize money, because we've talked up Elizabeth Power, who's on a score of 50, who could be a huge threat. Well, Izzy's as fast as anybody. On a good jumper, I think they could have really put it up to the likes of Oliver.
But I think the field is stronger this year, don't you?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Now
Well,
this test is one I am very much looking forward to, because it is Sir Mark Todd coming forward with Nicky Ryan's Kiltubrid Rhapsody, a horse that actually finished 3rd at St Muir this year and was 6th at Buccalew last year as well. A ride that Mark only took on at the middle of last season. Not always the easiest of horses, but very talented. And Mark, one that could put himself in terms of the series in contention this weekend, because he had a brilliant podium finish at Barbury with Leonidas a couple of weeks ago. Then went to Jardy with NZB Campino and finished inside the top 10. So good points this weekend going into the final 2 legs at Blair and Blenheim. Could see Sir Mark Todd, who hasn't, it must be said, always had the easiest of luck in the Event Rider Masters series, putting in a very strong performance. So for New Zealand, it is Sir Mark Todd, Kiltubrid Rhapsody. Sam, this is a horse that's been improving in this phase.
Yeah, we talk about trends. This horse, for the last 2 years, he's done 7 internationals, and he's improved his dressage score at international level every single time he's gone in the ring. He has not taken one backward step, and his last score was a 39.9, so that was obviously the best of them. And if he improves that again, he's gonna challenge Mr. Townend.
Well, his first 2 movements are going to keep him up there to start with, so he must be on about an 80% before only movement 2. Well, from 75. The horse is really loose and supple and just easy, and that's what the judges like.
Probably came off the ground there, didn't he?
He did, and he's got a good action for this ground. Really good half pass. It could be a little tilt at the end that they might knock half a mark off for the judge at sea anyway. But let's see, like there, the ground cover and the rhythm is one of the few that the rhythm has stayed the same from his normal trot to his extended and his medium trots. A lot of them, the tempo quickens, and so that's where the judges will come out with a bigger mark.
What would you have given that?
It's like Mark forgot what he was doing there. I'd have been on a 9, 8.5 or a 9 for that medium trot. Like Mark forgot the test for a moment.
Well, I think he was thinking about the whole, and the horse was thinking about oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, that was pricey. So everything he's just gained in that medium trot is just lost in his walking into a hole, sadly. It was transition, then we'll see. So here, he's got a bit of a tilt going on, which shows the horse has actually got some resistance. See where the nose was tipping. So it shows the horse is less supple that way. And those short judge sides, with judges on the short sides, will mark that down. And some tension actually in the first bit of the walk, sadly. Don't think we're going to be rocking it today.
Well, this would be typical Dermot Byrne behaviour from Echo Ratings, wouldn't it? The minute you identify a trend live,
you kill it
at the Event Rider Masters.
To be
you
fair,
tend to knock down the head.
doesn't talk when Mark is in the arena now.
Because he always does it.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Yes.
Fear of being excommunicated by Di.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just an Irish bad luck thing on the New Zealander probably then. Yes, so, I mean, again, the walk was lovely there, so he could come back up, but he's not going to break.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
maybe.
There's still a little way to go, and actually this horse has the 2nd best average of the horses in the dressage. 41.9 he averages, which is the only horse ahead of him is Shane Rose, CP qualified.
Yeah.
So
just don't make any more mistakes. See, the horse has really easy canter, really through, really supple. Mark will come around here and he'll put it a bit more engaged, like you see him sit up there, get the horse on the hind leg, and then punch a really big change through.
And in terms of telling jump and a change,
that was it, wasn't
it?
Yeah, just punch through, like lifted off the floor. And the air time as well, it made more air time in the change.
I like that phrase, airtime. I think that's something we should bring into a bit more, isn't it? It sounds like we're skateboarding or something.
Yeah, it does. That
hang time.
Yeah, airtime.
Yeah, airtime in the changes, a bit of hang time in the jumping.
Yeah, it is. Like there, maybe it could have been a bit bolder than that extended. But the horse gives you the impression it's just like really rideable. I think that's the skill of a really good rider, even if they said it really wasn't. they give it the impression it really was. So it does have a tilt in that half past left because he had one in the trot as well. So the horse is...
By tilt, what do you mean?
See, his nose just tips to one side in the lateral work, which indicates a bit of a stiffness that way or a resistance that way. Probably a little bit of both. The neck doesn't stay straight.
He's just not managing to land the 8s.
No.
Which he would need to bring that score from mid-40s to late 30s.
But nice airtime change again there, though. And punchy and through.
That's going to be your new phrase,
Can we get a little sound symbol that we can put in, like, airtime?
Yeah, it is a skater-boarder terminology. And like there, though, Mark's not really going for the extendeds and the mediums. So maybe the horse is much tenser than he's let on. Because you would imagine this horse is a really good extended canter because they quite liked it though. But
he's only made the time once in his career, and that was with David Dolan in their only run together in a 2-star. So I think he doesn't look like he's built for speed.
Yeah.
Having said that, Samur this year, when he finished 3rd, I think I'm right in saying the time was quite tight.
I think you could be right, Nicole Brown.
And Sir Mark Todd, no better man on board. So, waiting for his scores to come in.
Sorry. I really like that picture. So I had to put in. Sorry. So we had really good air time there in the extended trot. The lift, the power.
Cadence, isn't that the technical word?
Cadence is the grown-up word for it. Yeah. Not the
beyond
street.
me.
Not the street word. Yeah.
So Sir Mark Todd and Kiltubrid Rhapsody, I think he's going to go around 5th, and he does, 42.4. So just slots in on the leaderboard ahead of Tim Price and Xavier Fair, who dropped down into 6th as things stand at the moment. So well into this final session of dressage here, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters, the dressage is seeded. So this final session are the combinations that have the best average scores in the whole field. And this next young lady is somebody who really impressed at Barbary. It is Emily King. Emily coming forward with Jane Delmissier's Dargan.
Well, like Sir Mark Todd, her last dressage test was also a 39.9. That came at Barbary Castle in the 3-star. They've had some unlucky or annoying moments on the cross country, these two, but they are certainly very, very smart in the first phase.
It's only a 9-year-old, and you can't help but feel that they just haven't quite got all 3 phases together at one event yet, because actually 39.9 they scored at Barbary, super clear round. I think they were in 3rd going forward to the cross country at Barbary, had a really unfortunate 20 penalties out on course, which meant that she wasn't able to challenge, ended up finishing inside the top 20, but unfortunately not quite what she would have asked for. But she is very much a young rider with a huge future ahead of her. Was so impressive on her debut at 4-star level when she finished 4th with Brookley back in 2015, and has got a really nice team of young horses coming through up the grade. So Emily King coming forward with Jane Delmissier's Dargan. For Great Britain, will she be able to challenge the lead of Oliver Townend, noteworthy 38.7? That's the target.
Well, having seen her start, yes.
Okay.
No, Sam can tell us.
Well, she's led the dressage phase 3 times with this horse, but all at 2-star level. She's also hit a score of 36 twice with this horse, but again at 2-star level. So that 39.9 at Barbary was their best 3-star score. But you can see the ability, and Emily, we know she can ride on the flat.
Yeah, and she looks like she should ride on the flat with those long legs and skinny, and just all elegant, and yeah, just is. She's got it all going on, and so is the horse. The power in that medium trot, I thought maybe I'd have gone more because I thought she was really good. The shoulder in, some resistance to the bend if you're going to be fussy. Why it's not going to be an 8, but the crossing was good. It didn't sort of stay happily to that bend. This
could have been a bit more on the outside, right?
Could have been dressage, Sam. This is a party piece of the horse, isn't it? The extended medium trots. Finds it so easy. Looks lovely. You can only see 2 legs.
When you have a halt like that, you just kind of want to stay there.
Well, you do, and the last thing you want to do is go back, because you're like, it just But he did go back very well.
And
yeah,
998.
Right. Now, as a judge, I would have been thinking, why not more? And I don't know why not more.
Would you have cracked out
yeah,
the 10
I would have
paddle?
cracked out a 10.
Would you?
Yeah, I would have.
When it's that good
Because you could only see
before-
2 legs.
Yeah.
How good it was in. It
Yeah.
landed square. It didn't even fidget square. You know, sometimes they fidget themselves square, but that was stopped. Yeah. So
from a numbers point of view, like 10 is the top of the scale, and we almost never see it used. We think it's been used once in the Event Rider Masters, and you think, I mean, we see people going clear inside the time all the time. We see people jumping clear rounds all the time. Why can't we see a few more 10s? Because it's as good as you can get.
and it's only excellent. It's not perfect, and I don't get it at international Grand Prix. They pop out the 10s all the time, but national level, anything other than it's all gone a little bit wrong.
Now this is expensive, because I think she could recover it. What's she doing?
Now, she decided to take an error of course there and come round. So she'll lose 2 marks from each judge. But actually, she gets to come at the movement again in a canter.
Yeah, because she cleverly, because the mark for that half pass doesn't start till the L, the I, that top letter, invisible is. So she thought, actually, I might as well get a good mark for the half pass. If she'd have been started that half pass and turned away, they would have gone with her first attempt. But she will argue she turned away before she made her first attempt.
So what would happen with that in terms of the scores we see and the sheets? Is that something that'll have to be verified?
Yeah. So we can't really take this as
gospel just
what's
yet.
coming up on screen.
Okay.
Because they may decide she had started the movement and and Judge at Sea, Andrew Benny, will be the one that will decide that and go and tell the other two. He's the boss.
Okay.
Emily,
what he
wink
says
at
goes.
Andrew Benny. He's at sea.
Yeah. But she's, got on with that. So.
And actually, from a perspective that the horse is only a 9-year-old, in terms of educating him for the future, you don't really want to give him a bad experience, or B...
learned behaviour. It was really what it is about, actually. She thought, no, I'm not having that. You're not going to sort of then make the next movement bad, and probably the next, knowing what that half pass to the Serpentine. So she was like, just get a grip of yourself, and we'll do that again, which you would do at home. And I think that showed actually great maturity in riding, which she'll have probably learnt this from somebody, won't she?
Yeah.
This mature riding. She's been around it all her life.
Well, she gave Michael Young something to think about it at Badminton, didn't she? When she got so close in the dressage phase with Brookley there.
Yeah.
So for such a young rider, she does have a lot of experience, and as you say, that maturity coming through.
Yeah. And you just want to like it, don't you? And you just, I bet that even in its submission, they'll slightly forgive it, because actually it would seem to just be an odd
moment.
I'd quite like to see that. I'd like to see that on a playback. That the walk canter and the walk canter, because
whether there was a bee or a fly or a you don't know.
Yeah.
But it's still nice that even after that problem, the judges were still happy to give the good marks. Because, I mean, we've just seen 8.5 for that final halt. It was still the good marks
just a
kept
moment.
coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they actually will be, no, they won't be as gutted as her, clearly. But you are, as a good judge, you're like, oh, God, no, what happened? What? Why? So I wonder if there's going to be a conflab with the judges deciding what if he gets out of his car. I don't know if they have walkie-talkies actually amongst themselves. I think they do.
They may well do. So Emily, just debriefing with Mother Mary. She'll no doubt be going through just quite what went wrong in the middle of that test, but still a very, very smart test nonetheless. And we'll look forward to her score very shortly. But let's... Oh, here we go. We're going to get another look at this, Mark.
Well, he'd got
a bit of a muddle behind.
He
and then
looked
just
like she'd sort of overshot the centre line, and then he objected
to her turning
when she did turn.
Yeah.
No, she's turned right there at I, and that movement doesn't start until I.
No, this is her second go.
So I don't think she did start the half pass, because the half pass from I to
yeah. So she pulled out. But I think she'd overshot the centre line, and maybe she couldn't turn, wouldn't turn.
That's a super groom and a half, isn't
Isn't it?
Olympic
Yeah.
medalist, Mary King, super groom for daughter Emily.
Last female person to be world #1.
There we go.
Mary King.
42.9 into 6th for
Yeah.
Emily King and Dargan. Still a very good score, and no doubt we'll see more of them tomorrow in the jumping phases. But let's go down to Alice, who's caught up with Sir Mark Todd.
Yeah, so Mark Todd joins me now. We're watching Emily save that tricky situation, but your boy looked really good. We must just tell you that the audience had you in second.
It's a jolly shame the audience aren't the judges, aren't they, isn't it? Yeah, no, I was pleased with him. You know, he's still only 10. He's fairly inexperienced at this level, and you know, he went out there and did his best at the moment, so we're sort of thereabouts. So.
He's a horse that's really going to catch the eye next year. You know, he's got that lovely cadence, and he carries your great long leg as well.
Yeah, no, he's a very big mover, and I think he sort of gets a little bit lost in the arena sometimes because he just hasn't got the strength yet to control that. But you know, he is going to be really, really smart.
And the Masters, it's started to be a better season for you because it's been a bit of a bête noire, hasn't it? It's been a series that you've supported hugely, and it's been really frustrating.
I know. I mean, all last year. I mean, all up until this year, I hadn't had a clear round in any one competition. So, thank goodness for the owners and for everybody concerned that we're starting to show a little bit of form. So, yeah, no, really pleased.
I know. And the Masters, we need you, Sir Mark. We need you. We need you up there on that podium.
Yeah, well, don't worry. I'll be trying hard. But you know, it's such a great series, and we're all loving it. And I'm even trekking all the way up to Scotland for the next one.
And just, you've got so much experience around Gatcombe. I know you'll keep your secrets tight to yourself, but just one tip for the guys with this undulating track?
Well, you just got to ride the horse a bit like a motorbike. I mean, it's a unique track. We don't have any others quite like this in the calendar. I'm not quite sure this horse is the right horse for this sort of terrain. You want quite a fairly nippy horse, but he's very honest and he'll be trying. So we'll just get out there and give it a go.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So in the arena now is Sarah Bullimore. Sarah coming forward with Rev de Rouet, her 4-star campaigner, owned by Brett Bullimore and Chris Gillespie. 13 years of age now at Rev de Rouet by Ballot de Rouet, and a horse that has actually completed 5 out of the world's 6 4-stars. The only one he hasn't completed is Adelaide in Australia.
Good luck getting around the quarantine regulations to take that one off the box. But Alice Dunstan did that. He has been troublesome a couple of times. He did a 61.2 at Badminton last year, but also you can see the ability of 43.9 at Barbary on their last outing, and this looks to be out of the top drawer.
It is. It started well. I remember him at Badminton wanting to leave, didn't he? Yeah, didn't want to be there.
I don't think he wanted to go in.
He went down the centre line, and I think he kept going.
I think the judge got a bit scared at one point.
Yeah. But then we saw him at Bramham after, and he's just had that minor blip. So the walk has got tension, unfortunately. The trot was super and looking relaxed and supple, but it's just getting a little bit bubbly.
But Sarah absolutely adores this horse, and she knows he's quirky. You know, she's produced him from a youngster, but he's certainly given her some brilliant days in her career.
Well,
and
5 full stars.
Yeah.
And he's still only 13 years old. And I think we've seen what we've seen from Nereo and Le Biostadi Sam. I think this is a horse still with a lot to give and a lot more ahead of him.
So other than the tension in the walk, the test is really easy and supple, but it does feel like he's been around forever, doesn't it? It does. There, the canter is a little bit fragile and getting a bit on his shoulder. I would be worried if I was Sarah about what my change may be like, because I feel she's having to be quite careful, tactful. Hopefully she'll go and prove me completely wrong and make a lovely change. Yeah, she did. Yeah, she knows it.
Need a little sound effect for that as well.
Yeah. Ding, tick. But again, a little more expression to get more than the 7s. But you know, 7s get you in the 70%. But she just pull a few more 8s out of the canter, and then she stays where she should be. So there, the transition was really clear back. Just feel, just probably would like, and he's trotted. I was going to say she could do the little bit more power down the centre line as he trotted. So I think she's having to be careful. She'll be quite annoyed at him for doing that.
It'll be an interesting one. They won the CIC 3-star at Barocca at the beginning of last season. That's the fastest round they've had in a while.
Two mistakes now. And the trouble is, these mistakes are not just little glitches, they are
it's a proper
serious
drop down
errors.
in mark.
It's like knocking a fence down, isn't it? It's worse than a time fault. The change again was lovely and easy. Just feel like he just wants to pull away from her in the contact a little bit, saying, you're not going to quite have me. But Balabés are quite tricky in the mouths by nature, but they're very scopy, aren't they?
Should there be, that's extended canter for the short side, medium canter on the half
circle. There should have been a clearer. She stayed in one canter for me. We've seen some very definite, where that one, if you were at the side, you'd have thought, oh, it's just medium. Very good finish.
So Sarah Bullimore and Reb Drouet, her 4-star campaigner, finishing their test here in the main arena at Gatcombe. And it is leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. We have just 4 more combinations left to go. We've certainly got some big names coming forward. Bill Levitt, Tom McEwen, Shane Rose, and second on the series leaderboard, Sarah Cohen, will be the last combination into the arena. Now, we've talked a lot. We had a huge amount of rain at lunchtime, Mark. The ground actually looks like it's holding up fairly well. As a judge, would you ever take that into consideration? Do you? No,
that is the unfortunate thing. You do have to judge the first like the last, and you just have to put it down to a bad luck. You know, and it's when they're tilting and stuff in the rain. You are meant to, they shouldn't evidently be tilting, but we had one the other day when I was judging up north. It was absolutely thunder lightning, and the horse stood so still with its headlight down, and I gave it a 10 for its halt, because it was just, no horse should have stood still in it.
No, it went above and beyond.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be hoping for dry weather for the rest of the day, but 45.4 into 10th for Sarah Bullimore, and let's go down to talk to Alice.
I know, I've got the glamour of eventing with me. Emily King, great to have you with us with ERM. What happened in that test? You had everyone scratching their heads.
Yeah, Dargon was very good. He was super. He was very relaxed as always. He's always very rideable. And yeah, he did nothing wrong, but I went into canter and I suddenly slightly forgot where I was going. And you're meant to turn straight down the centre line and go into a half pass, and I ended up overshooting it, so I had to do a little circle to recollect myself. And so it was a real shame, because obviously we got marked down for that, and then that just shunted our score down a bit. But he was apparently scoring really high, and he felt super, and he himself didn't do any mistakes. It was just me.
And you just had a blonde moment.
I did. I know. I need to dye my hair and carry on, then I might be all right.
But seriously, the work is really coming along. I mean, with that, I think you would have been nearly sub 40.
Yeah, no, he was really, really good. He's getting stronger and stronger. Yeah, he's 9, so he's he's got plenty of years ahead of him, and he's forever strengthening up. And he loves the bigger atmosphere, the better for him. It sort of lifts his character. So yeah, really pleased with him.
And what about the track and the jumping here? You know, so again, a big atmosphere. You've been here for many years, obviously watching your mum win around here, and it's a great place, great history.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's great, and the bowl's so fantastic when everybody watches the final few. You know, it's such a huge atmosphere, and with the show jumping, the crowd's always quite close there. So, yeah, no, he's a good jumper, and he was, I think, second here in the intermediate champs last year. So he knows the track. So fingers crossed, yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Well done. Bad luck.
Well, safe to say, everybody makes the odd mistake, Mark, but at least she owned up to it.
She did, and yes, we saw mistakes in Barbara, didn't we? That ended up with a big E. So yes, these pros, and it's quite nice actually, I think, for the normal average rider to think, yeah, everybody can make mistakes. You know, everybody's human, and I think it is good for my clients how to tell off and never learning their test properly and driving me mad for it. Then they'll go, well, Emily does.
Well, she is such a lovely ambassador for our sport, Emily King. We will see her in the jumping tomorrow, and with good Gatcombe form, one to keep an eye on. But next to go, it is Bill Levitt for Australia. Bill coming forward with Shannondale Titan, a horse he owns himself alongside the Prentice family, who've been huge supporters of Bill's over the years. And Bill has been such a brilliant supporter of the Masters Series, because he has been so keen to ride in each and as many of the legs that he can do. He took this horse out to Wiesbaden and actually finished inside the top 10 on that occasion. Things didn't go to plan in the show jumping in Jardy, so he decided to withdraw, save the horse for another occasion. 15 years of age now, Shannondale Titan, so a limited amount of runs left in him, and Bill just decided to keep him for here at Gatcombe. He is a horse that if he gets all 3 phases right on the same day or over the weekend, he could put in a very big podium finish. So for Australia, Bill Levitt and the former winner of Saumur, Shannondale Titans.
I'm just seeing the horse go around the edge. Sorry, Sam, for barging in. This horse has an amazing active hind leg when it just came around the edge. And I could hear Mr. Producer and Maya going, has that got something wrong with its back legs? No, it's very exceptional what it's doing with its back legs.
Yeah, well, their PB is a 36.6 at Belton, so they have the ability to lead this class if they pull out their A game.
Because it's like it's like a dressage, a top dressage horse hind leg, and it makes you want to give the marks. Well, not makes you want to give the marks, because it just does everything. The way it's so active, steps under its body, just quite amazing. Probably shouldn't be an event horse, really.
He's been a very good event horse.
Yeah, look at that.
He is, but it's actually he's kept him for the CICs because he's probably more naturally designed for dressage than he is for galloping around 4-stars. And then that trying to keep him on the road then all the time, that actually the shorter the CIC format seems to suit him better. He's done 20 CICs. He's one of the most experienced CIC horses in the field. And the time, it's a horse who needs to be scoring sub 40 really in the whole tactical way this is going to work out, because a horse like Arctic Soul, he's got to be 5 or 6 marks ahead of him because that horse has got the speed.
Yeah, and that is the trouble like we have with the dressage horses. Keep these big moving horses, their joints and things. So I can see why Bill would have to really, really look after this horse, because the movement this horse has, and it actually looks really. It's as powerful as Alex's horse, both Alex's horse, but actually a little bit more relaxed in the brain, I would say, today. And that walk, I think, I don't know why that's not going to get. We'll see what it gets. I'm thinking 9. I would be even thinking 10 because it was so relaxed.
Interesting that he's not trending in the 30s at the moment.
I know. He sort of was, and then
just dropped slightly.
Dropped. So there must be something maybe they can see closer that they don't like.
And 2/8 for the walk.
Yeah.
See what the judges at home think on the SAP scoring out.
SAP audience judging out.
Probably listening to me, probably. The quarters led a little bit in that half past there. I would imagine, I don't know, what's his show jumping scores? Are they good? I would imagine this horse would be quite difficult to balance because of the power.
Yeah, I mean, this season from 5 runs, he's averaging 2 down. So that's not ideal, but and he averages just over a rail in the CIC format, so 4.5 is his.
He is more than capable of putting in a good clear out.
Right, okay.
Just everything's got to come together.
Yeah, because I would imagine this horse is quite difficult to balance to a jump. Yeah, so they're a little bit on the shoulder. I don't like horses wearing big white sheepskins on their fronts because I think it draws your judge's eye to the front. Why can't I wear leather? I don't know, or something dark leather. Because like there, for me, that highlighted that the horse went down on its forehand in that medium canter. But I gave it 8 anyway, so. But I thought it was good steps.
And he's actually started trending back into the 30s now. So.
Maybe they didn't like his music or something.
Robbie Williams is sorting it out.
We like this. Robbie will get them back in the mood. I want this one now.
This is the one you want to take home.
I wanted that horse this morning, and I want this one now.
Okay. Hope you've got
Look
a big
at his
lorry.
ears as well. It's so with him.
He produced a lovely test in Jardy with a score of 40.5, but it was Bramham last year. It's the last time he broke that 40 barrier, and then only once again back in 2015. So
I think I'm right in saying Bramham last year, he actually finished 4th, so just off the podium. Is that right?
Correct. And clear inside the time, but then quite a lot of people did that day. He just had that one show jump down. So there are challenging phases ahead for this horse and challenges ahead with the time, but this score Looking good.
We know if Bill is in the hunt going into the cross country on Sunday afternoon, Bill will go for it.
I'll give it a go.
Like Bill is here with us. So, Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan for the Prentice family. He completes his test, 39.4. He's trending. Mark, will we see him overtake Oliver Townend on those collective marks?
He should.
Okay. What, if you were judging him, what would you give him?
Pace is 8.5. No, pace is 9 because that was such a good walk. Impulsion, 7.5. Submission, 8. And Bill, 8.5 on 9. Because actually, I think he's a good rider. But I am always the highest judge. And that is the thing. We'd quite like to see the breakdown of the 3 judges as well to see they will have had ones that they won't be in complete agreement. And that's a shame we don't get the individual breakdowns. Sometimes we're like, oh, that one did that one like that, side didn't like.
And like Oliver, completely mistake-free round, but you would say that that horse has a bit more about him than Oliver's.
Just a little bit more gifted, yeah, on the flat.
On the flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
The watchful eyes of Andrew Benny in the background.
Waiting for those final scores to come in. Bill Levitt for Australia. Shannondale Titan, will he knock Oliver Townend off the top spot? Oliver on 38.7. Bill was trending on 39.4. I think he's going to go about 38.9. I don't think he's quite going to do it.
I agree with you.
But we'll see. The judges are keeping us on tenterhooks here. We do get quite excited waiting for these collective marks to come in. So, in fact, let's go down and talk to Alice and then we'll come back for Bill's scores.
Yeah, I'm with Sarah Bullimore and we're looking out across at the scoreboard for those Bill Levitt scores to come in. We'll bring you them as soon as we get them. Bully, 45, you were hoping for nearer the 40 mark, but not bad.
No, I mean, he did some really good bits, just an unfortunate couple of expensive mistakes that normally the canter work pulls him up even further. And yeah, just it was a shame today because actually he did do some really lovely work, but just it's expensive when you make mistakes.
I know, but you know better than anyone, and for fear of us repeating ourselves, this is not going to be a dressage competition.
No, it's not. So yeah, things will all change tomorrow. So. But yes, but it's nice to have a bit more leeway after the dressage, though.
Now listen, the riders' marks are coming through. 8.5, 7.5, 8 for Bill Levitt. Do you think he's going to take the lead? 39.2. He's trending. What do you reckon?
Oh, it's close, isn't it?
It's really tight.
Yeah, he could just pop ahead. Yeah.
Ooh, Nicole, I think we'll leave it to you. It's a couple of seconds till they come through. Listen, best of luck with the cross country. Bill Levitt's score is literally just about to come through.
Well, I'm waiting for my screen to refresh, and it looks to me 40.4 actually into third, so doesn't break into the 30s after all. But we'll wait for confirmation for that. 40.4 into third as things stand at the moment. So Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan for Australia. So 3 different nations represented in the top 3 at the moment. It is Oliver Townend for Great Britain leading 38.7. Brazil's Marcio Jorge on a score of 40.0. Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan in third, 40.4. But what can this young man do? It is Tom McEwen. Tom comes forward with Toledo de Cursor, and this is a horse on which he actually finished just outside the top 10 at Badminton a little bit earlier on this year. Rides this 10-year-old for owners Jane Innes, Alison McEwen, and he owns part of the horse himself, and very much one of the top young combinations for Great Britain. Was longlisted for those European Championships, didn't actually make the squad, but very much a horse on the selectors' radar heading into the World Equestrian Games next year, and of course going forward to the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Tom thinks a huge amount of Toledo, and actually Tom, based here at Gatcombe, this is a horse that can be a little bit tense, can be a little bit tricky at times, is full of talent, but being on home soil, so to speak, an advantage?
I don't know, we used to run shows at home and my horses went horrendously badly because they were like, why are 5,000 people in our fields? What are those horses doing in that arena? And their concentration levels was shocking, so I gave up in the end. I don't know.
Yeah, Zara feels that's what Zara says about Gatcombe. So I mean, she hasn't got a horse here this weekend, and she says they tend to not go that well at home, so she's not in this class. But this is a hot young combination in terms of form. The horse is just 10 years old. Tom looks like he's only about 10 years old. He's 26. But they scored a 36.6 at Blenheim, which is a PB with the horse. It's a PB for Tom at this level. He's fresh off the back of a CCI 3-star win last weekend in Ireland. He's in great form. Big, tough badminton track under their belt. A really exciting combination. Up in that same sort of category as we were talking about with Alexander Bragg and Zagreb earlier. I think this is one for the home fans to really get excited about.
Well, I was hoping that the scoring's gone a bit mad, because actually I thought he started lovely. I didn't see anything faulting that he would be on that sort of penalty score. Getting better. The horse doesn't have the biggest extended trot, but it does have a very good rhythm, and it does have very good hind leg, and it does have a good self-carriage. It can't actually go less than a 7. But we are getting to the stage where these halts and the nitty-gritty of a halt and a rein back is where it can plummet you from being competitive to not to being out of it. I think this music's making him rush as well. Although I do quite like this as a tune.
We talked about this earlier on, didn't we, with David Britnell, that
Yeah.
actually the riders can choose some music to accompany their tests, but it actually has a huge impact on their test.
Well, we've never been able to hear it on our commentary, have we, ever before, Nicole? While I've been doing it, so we've never known. But this is the first time we've ever heard it in our ears, or I've actually been really drawn to it,
I think you've been
maybe.
concentrating too hard on the dressage.
Okay, well, maybe
Mark.
it's hit me today that some of it really doesn't fit. Because some of it hasn't fitted, and they ride to the hurried beat. So the walk could have more relaxation.
Yeah, you can definitely see that again. Probably a relief for Tom that he hasn't got to do some walk pirouettes, but definitely see the tension there.
Yeah. No, and I heard Angela saying she likes the pirouettes in the test.
It's great if you've got a horse that relaxes in the walk.
Yeah,
and you
then
can
that's where
actually
you're going
ride
to
a
pick it up.
pirouette, but
Yeah. It's just needs more relaxation. Maybe he doesn't like everybody in his garden either.
So the horse averaging 46.4 from his 2 runs this season. He's averaging a 45.3 from his 7 previous runs at this level of competition. So he's very much a mid-40s horse on form. He has that one exceptional test from Blenheim at the end of last season in the CIC 3-star, that 36.6, but is not going to be in that category today.
No.
But yeah, that was muddled.
Yeah, hind legs together. That was it. Hind legs were together. The muddled is when it's sort of like a 1 and 1, but it's still the same mark. It's a fault, and it'll still go down to a 4. If it were to be really horrible, it could go 3 because it's actually not really even attempted to make a change. Depends which way you look at it. For some judges, but I mean we're talking a 4 or a 3. But like there, he then really goes to the extended paces. The horse is a very good way of going. It shows really good training, and it's lovely and out in the frame, and it's just the bits of tension. It just needs to breathe a little bit more.
Well, he's still a young horse, still 10 years old, which, you know, anybody listening to this who's used to watching, you know, horses winning the Derby at Epsom age 3, you're probably thinking, what, 10? You're saying it's young, but for the amount of training that has to go into these horses to deal with all 3 phases, considering this horse has galloped around badminton already this year, he's got other things on his mind.
That was much better, that one. Yeah, which is young in itself to get 4-star, isn't it? So, yeah. And physically, they're still not finished.
No.
And I think the ones with a little bit of warm blood breeding are even slower to mature than the thoroughbreds. See, that was really, really nice. It's extended to his medium. And the transition back so nice. A very good end. Then he wobbled.
Oh, and just a little unsettled.
Yeah, but I think that shows how much tension was bubbling actually throughout that test.
A grimace from little Tommy McEwen.
Talk to us about Toledo de Curse's show jumping record, because he does have the most incredible jumping record, doesn't he?
Well, he's not had a fence in a CIC 3-star, and the last time that he had a rail down was back at Bramham in the under-25 class in 2016, so over a year ago.
Wow.
And that's the only time he's ever knocked a fence in his international career, which is a pretty staggering statistic.
So tomorrow morning's show jumping, one to keep an eye on, because last year the show jumping here at Gatcombe was hugely influential. In fact, the second most influential show jumping that we've seen in the Event Rider Masters series to date. Toledo de Cursa, one to keep an eye on, because Tom McEwen will be looking to leave all of those poles standing. Well, 48.9 into 17th. Tom might be a bit disappointed with that, but lots to like for Toledo de Cursa. Let's go to Alice.
Nicole, I think that might be the understatement of the century. A bit disappointed. Tom McEwen is going to be absolutely gutted with that performance by Toledo. We were definitely expecting better than that. So really disappointing from Tom McEwen. And we've got a punchy Bill Levitt. Bill, the judge is giving you an error, of course, and that's going to be reviewed.
Yeah, I'm confident that I did the right pattern, because I knew I was going to S in the walk. It was I think it was the walk that they sort of thought I left it, or took the wrong course, but I'd left it a metre early before the marker, but it wasn't, I wasn't on the wrong track. I was just a metre off where I should have been probably. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident they'll take that off once they see it. And, that 30 thing is it's just a nice sort of zone to be in. So the difference between 40 and 39 is probably not a lot, but...
Well, we know actually it's a little bit more than not a lot, because your wife is just on. We might have to just get your wife over. Mrs. Levitt? Yes, Jenny. We've got to tell you quickly. Jenny, why is it important for Bill today to get in the 30s?
Because if he gets in the 30s, he'll add chocolate pudding on the way home.
You heard it first here.
Dinner tonight, so then he's allowed to stop to buy pudding.
Jenny said if he gets in the 30s, he can have chocolate pudding. So this review really takes on a whole new level for Bill, because if he gets that error of course removed, he will get chocolate pudding.
I mean, how good does that get? I mean, that's unreal, isn't it?
Well, watch this space. We'll bring you news on that score as soon as we have it. But this next combination, they are the only combination in the field to have won a 4-star. It is Shane Rose with his wonderful campaigner, CP qualified. Shane, who won Adelaide 4-star with this horse a couple of years ago, has been based over here in the United Kingdom for the last 12 months or so, has been travelling back regularly to Australia, has a really busy yard out there, but CP qualified has stayed over here, has been based at Sam Griffiths' yard, and actually a horse that finished second at Aachen last year, really put himself out there for an individual medal come Rio. Things didn't quite go to plan in Rio, but the horse very much back on form, went well at Barbary and actually finished on the podium in Aachen just a few weeks ago. So Shane Rose, CP qualified for Australia. Sam, Equa Ratings picked him out as the one that could be our leader at the end of Dressage Day.
We did. He's going for his 10th sub-40 dressage score. That's quite an amount of good tests to have on the CV. But it's not necessarily a clear-cut decision, of his last 6 dressage tests. Only one of them has broken into the 30s. That was his last run at Aachen, a 36.7, and really high-quality competition. But they can make mistakes. I think we saw that at Barbary.
Well, at Barbary, I felt he was on fire, and unfortunately, the fire blew. Today, he's looking quite lazy. So he hasn't got the sparkle I've seen this horse have.
He did the most beautiful test at Barbary, but had a problem in the middle of the walk pirouettes that cost him a lot of marks.
Yeah, but it was so powerful. Today, we just sort of look a bit chillaxed. And the marks are saying that they're wanting more power, they're wanting more expression. That looks like it's out for a bit of a hack there. Let's stare around. It doesn't look really on his game, which is being reflected in those scores, actually, to be fair. So, but maybe after what happened at Barbary, Shane's got this new, must be a fine balance between that boiling over, and obviously what you got in Aachen was obviously perfection. But I'm thinking today just looks a little, Canter's better, just looks a little bit sleepy.
I think he's done a half pass to the wrong marker there.
Yeah.
They're gonna ring the bell.
You remember he did this at Bramham?
Same thing.
at Bramham last year, didn't he?
Oh, good grief, Mark. Your memory's better than mine. Apparently better than Shane's as well.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And he said
It's not a
something.
statistic, I don't.
And he said something about they'd been at a barbecue the night before, hadn't he? Remember?
no.
Right.
So he's
You
going to go
totally
back
caught me
and
out there, Mark, I have to say.
he's going to go back and repeat this movement. He did the right movement, which was a right counter half pass, but he just did it from the wrong marker. So Bill, his fellow Australian rider, is in the process of appealing his error, of course, because he felt he
but
he
that
Don't think he's going to be able to
There's
appeal
no
that
appeal.
one, Sam.
No, that
There's
was
no appeal there.
Yeah, that was
No.
clear cut.
No.
Well, actually, just confirmed, Bill's appeal has been successful. Into second, 39.2. Bill Levitt gets chocolate pudding on his way home tonight.
Lucky Bill. How many? Can you remember how many sub 30 scores the Echo Ratings experts said
I
there
think
would
he
be?
said 2 to 3.
Right. So we're on 2.
We're on 2. We've got, obviously, Shane
Well,
in the arena and
unfortunately,
one more
Shane-
still to go.
But Shane wasn't on that, going to
No.
get sub in the trot work before he did his canter. When the canter work is pulling the marks back up. Be interested in Shane's interview to say whether he thought he was a bit lazy today. Because he's actually kicking him.
He's coming alive now a little bit more, but
it's a stunning, stunning horse. I mean, it's everything you want. It's like beautiful white, grey, uphill, easy. Well, it wasn't easy when he did that rearing malarkey at Barbary, but
it's hard for this combination to just get the consistency. You know, a 47 at Blair and that 44 at Barbary. That's a very different test to the 36.7 at Ack and what we know he can pull out.
yeah, I think it's getting the line between the sparkle, controlled power, and uncontrolled power, which is.
And that's actually something a lot of event riders spend a lot of time doing. Is if you've got one that's a bit lazy, you're trying to get that warm up right. Sometimes get their nutrition right to have them absolutely firing on the day. A lot of the times it's the other way around, trying to keep them relaxed when they're the opposite, when they're a little bit hot.
Yeah, well, and it's the other way around with the ones that are too hot, that you're trying to feed them the right calmer and the right relaxants, actually, that you send them over the edge and they're as dopes on a rope and you can't ride them.
I mean, this score is definitely, the canter work is bringing the mark down, very much so. And I mean, CP Qualified has been such a superstar for Shane over the years. He's owned by Elizabeth Wisher alongside Shane, and the owners, we've talked a lot about it, they are such a huge part of each event team because it can't be done without them. And it's brilliant that the Monarch Sale have actually donated a prize for the owners of each winning horse at each of the legs, and they get a 2-night stay at the Monarch B&B, and then the owner of the horse with the most series points actually gets to go out there for the Monarch Sale, which is the elite horse sale in November. And hopefully they'll buy their next superstar as well.
A good marketing plan there, I think.
But yes, it's brilliant to see the owners getting so involved because we really, really do need them. They are the backbone of our sport. So we have just one more combination to go. We are waiting for the score to come in for Shane Rose and CP Qualified.
They scored 42.5 at the Olympic Games. They were trending in and around that type of mark.
Wait for that final score to come in. Our ground jury here this weekend, Andrew Benny is the president. He was actually the on the ground jury at both Jardy in leg 4 and Barbary in leg 3. And then we have Jane Holderness Rodham and Annabelle Scrimmager, both representing Great Britain on the ground jury as well. And the ground jury play such an important role in not only judging the dressage, but they oversee the whole competition throughout the weekend, everything from inspecting the course all the way through to making sure that safe and happy horses come home after the cross country. 42.7 into 7th for Shane Rose, and so he sits inside the top 10 for Australia. But let's go to Alice.
Yeah, a frustrated Tom McEwen joins me now. Tom, what happened?
I'm not frustrated with him at all. He was really good. He's been one that's been a bit quirkier through his life, and he's not one that works too well at home. And he has been a bit funnier at warming up every day, and just near he's just a bit tight, whereas actually when he gets on a lorry and goes to a show, he loves it.
But people maybe don't realise that you're actually based here at Gatcombe.
Yeah, sorry, that all sounds a bit confusing. Yeah, so we just hack up from the stables. It's literally 500 metres that way, and yeah, he's just thought this was all home and all a bit of fun. So yeah, it's a shame, but I'm still pleased with him. Plenty to work on.
He is such a beautiful horse, isn't he? I mean, everybody was wowed by him at Badminton. He's definitely, you know, a real star.
Oh, definitely. He's definitely one for future. I know he's a bit older now, but there's plenty to work on, and yeah, crack on to Burley now.
And congratulations on the biggest win of your career so far, winning the 3-star CCI in Campfire. Great result.
Yeah, really pleased with Strike Smartly. Yeah, couldn't be happier. It's nice to have a win on the board this year because it's been a little bit flat, but yeah, the horses are going really well and they're coming out well. I just need to sort of piece it all together and work on myself a little bit, and the horses will be there in the end.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
So the last combination in the arena, Sarah Cohen and Treason, owned by Pressy Spark and Liz and Vin Jones, who have been huge supporters of Sarah's over the years. This is a horse who actually won leg 2 in Wiesbaden. They've been well placed at both Chatsworth in leg 1. They were in the top 6 at Chatsworth, and then they were top 10 in Jardy as well. They come here second on the series leaderboard. So if Cutty can put in a good performance this weekend, she puts herself up there with a serious shout with 4 good scores on the board.
But she's bringing it to them, isn't she? Look at her.
Well, I have to say, Cutty, after Burley last year, had had 1 dressage lesson before Wiesbaden, and she's started taking it very seriously since then.
Well, you could see she just was like, I'm here. I've got a banging song going on in the background, and she's just really going for power. Let's hope the risk pays off, because that is the trouble on the edge of, you know, but it's...
He looks rideable, though, doesn't he?
He does
looks
look
like
really rideable.
And he is a proper family pet at home
I know,
now.
I was reading a thing in Horse and Hound.
He's
like
in the field with the pony, with the kids' pony.
Yeah.
He gets hacked round, and Cutty doesn't have an arena at home. You know, it is very much a family horse that is just absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And it has to be said, Cutty is actually listed as first reserve for Great Britain for the Europeans in Stragom. She could very easily get the call up to go to those European Championships, but if she doesn't, she's aiming for both Blair and Blenheim at the end of the season.
Yeah, get some cash. Yeah.
It's to buy that arena.
I know. But it's going well. The walk could have more purpose and activity, but it's not the biggest walk in the world you've ever seen, but it's didn't boil too much there. The transition up was beautiful. And I think this is where we'll see whether they're tense or not throughout this. It's the Serpentine that's the killer, really.
Well, this horse's canter work, generally speaking, would be a highlight. I don't want to put the curse of the commentator on it, so I'm not going to say that. But
it's quite tentative here.
Yeah, she's been quite cautious, but I would imagine it's really quite sticky, wouldn't you?
Mm. They've only once at 3- and 4-star level, so in this more technical, difficult test, broken that 40 barrier. They did a 39.1 at Hartbury 2 years ago, but they've been consistently in the low 40s this season, really trending in nice directions. 44 at Chatsworth, 43 Wiesbaden, 42.5 at Jardy. So,
well, Nicole was right with the canter. It's so easy and very engaged behind, and you could see, you thought he was going to have a little moment then, didn't you?
Well, no, but the extended canter would be a highlight of the
because
horse.
did you see how she sat it? But I thought she was going to have a moment, but she really sat it, and he exploded from the hind leg to a really burst of power.
In terms of wanting to see a difference in the two canters, he's absolutely showing.
Yeah.
As a judge, how would you judge that, Mark?
Well, you go, because you get marked for the transitions as well, so it's like an 8 in the transitions at least. Yeah. And that side judge will have seen what we saw from here, from our camera angle, where she saw the power go for the extended medium canter. Then it'll be the transition mark in a moment. You would say she's a little cautious here, but then she really sets up for the flying change. So I would be hoping... I would have thought she had enough quality to pop below, but that was a little bit bum high, or croup high. We're not allowed to say bum high, evidently. Dressage croup high, because we're classy.
Well, the dynamic here is that she's basically in a head-to-head battle with Gemma Tattersall. Gemma's got 5 marks in hand over the series. Cutty really wants to finish 3 or 4 places ahead of Gemma if she can.
Yeah.
We know Treason is not slow. Treason is a quick horse, and that's really what came and won it for him at Wiesbaden.
Yeah.
So it really is a head-to-head battle. He's going to be a little bit ahead of Arctic Soul after this phase.
Nice halt. Go on, give him a 10 for the final halt.
So Sarah Cohen and Treason, they won leg 2 of the series in Wiesbaden. What can they do here?
9.
They're currently sitting second on the series leaderboard, a 9 for that final halt. The score is dropping, Mark, 42.5 in Jardy. Will we see it go lower than that here?
Yeah.
Yes?
42.5 in Jardy, 42.9 there, yes.
Yes.
Yes, because she
Well.
rode beautifully. Yeah.
Watch this space. Sam, in terms of a series setup, that is a very, very good test.
Yeah, it's very, very tactical here. The show jumping is going to be critical. I mean, it's been a nice little start to this dressage, and I think we've seen some really lovely dressage, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep tonight. We have, like, the show jumping phase is going to be so instrumental. Like, Oliver Townend is leading. Like, it's back to what we were talking about, and Sarah has really pulled it out of the bag today.
Well, 42.0 into 6th, and Sarah Cohen for Great Britain. That is a very good score for her with Treason. Well, Dressage has concluded. We'll be back to take a closer look at all of the action very shortly, but in the meantime, let's go down to Alice.
Shane, we're just looking at the judges there. 2nd, 9th, 12th for Sarah Cohen. The judges have a little bit of discrepancy over your boy as well.
Yeah, a little bit. Look, I've learnt to see, people like different things, I guess. It's a shame. Like you'd like to think that you go out there and everyone thinks it's the same performance, but you know
that's why we have 3 judges. Isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, and it's part of the sport. Like it's been around forever, and you know, maybe one day we'll have Grand Prix dressage judges come in and judge us, and the sport will sort of change its direction like that. But I can't see that happening in the short term, so we've just got to deal with it. And yeah, like it's a really exciting, you know, place to be in, and I think the cross country is going to be pretty exciting tomorrow.
Yeah, we love watching your horse. He's such a fabulous horse on the flat. He's so expressive. But you were saying you thought perhaps you warmed him up a little bit too long today.
Yeah, he's an interesting horse because he's quite he uses a lot of energy to move, and the grass is so amazing here. It's just got a bit of give in it, and he's used to a bit firmer surface, and probably just did a bit too much, and just sort of ran out of petrol a little in his test. So a little disappointing, but look, he tried really hard. He did nothing wrong. I made a little error, of course, which didn't help. But yeah, look, I think he's in a really, I think he's 7th or 8th, something like that, going into tomorrow. So if he jumps well and goes well cross country, I think he'd be really competitive.
And I know we've got a lot of your fans in Australia who tune in, and this has been a big summer for you because you've brought your whole family up to the UK, based at Sam Griffiths'.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. Yeah, the kids my oldest girl, Olivia, starts school next year, so it was our only opportunity to come over, and I had a couple of really lovely horses over here, and you know, I get to enjoy. It's been a lovely summer over here. It's just starting to turn a little now, but it's been great weather, and yeah, we've had a really good time, and you know, coming to really good shows like this and the ERM classes, you know, makes the summer all worthwhile.
Well, listen, we love having you as part of the ERM, and best of luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thanks very much.
Well, let's take a look at the leaderboard. This is how things stand after the dressage. Last year's series winner Oliver Townend with Noteworthy out in front, 38.7. Just the 2 sub-40, Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan. The other combination to break the 40 barrier, 39.2. But Brazil currently sitting 3rd, Marcio George, Lissy McWare on 40.0. And last year's leg 2 winner, Alex Watian, Don Janeiro, 41.9. Very good test from them. So just one fence in the show jumping covers the top 7 as we go into the top 20 though. Some very good tests. Kirsty Johnston, WTTL Opposition Skylaw. They finished top 10 at Blair last year. Will be looking to climb the leaderboard with one of their usual double clears. 2 fences cover the top 14, but 3 fences cover the top 20. And we go down that leaderboard. It promises to be another climb for Elizabeth Power and Soladoon, the biggest climbers last year. And they've scored a better dressage test here, 50.7. So some very good scores on the board. We have enjoyed the most incredible day of dressage. We know it isn't going to be a dressage competition here at Gatcombe, but let's just focus on it for a second. Mark, thank you very much. We've loved your judge's perspective. What's been your highlight?
Sorry, I would think actually the whole class, actually nobody let themselves down. They all brought their game. like sitting, and it's a privilege to sit and watch and then listen to their, I love listening to their intros back, because I sit here going, I think this, and then they, like Shane just said he'd overworked it and needed more power. It's quite nice for me, I suppose, in my own eye, that you think, yeah, I see, they feel. And just really excited. Just, yeah, and I feel it's a privilege. I feel privileged.
Privileged.
Yes.
Well, we have been privileged because it's been some top-class competition. Just quickly, Sam, 2 sub-40 Echo ratings perspective. You got it right.
We got the number right. We expected a little bit more from Shane. I think this couldn't have worked out better from an ERM point of view, from a series point of view. Oliver Townend there, that's exactly where we want to see him. And that horse, he's jumping reliability. It's going to be really fascinating tomorrow.
Well, we can't wait. But one lady we will be keeping a very close eye on is Sarah Cohen and Treason. She's currently second on the series leaderboard, and she's talking to Alice.
Yeah, we've got Sarah, we've got the team, we've also got Treason here looking absolutely fantastic. He's so relaxed, Cutty.
Yeah, no, he's pretty chilled. Excuse me. He's pretty used to everybody now and the kids hanging around him and everything else. So yeah, no, he takes it all in his stride.
Good test today?
Yeah, I was pleased with him. We've been working hard on the lateral work. I still need a little bit better rhythm and the consistency in there, but I feel we're making progress.
You're definitely making progress. And this series, you have been absolutely fantastic. Talk us through Wiesbaden.
Oh, well, it was a bit of a whirlwind. It was a bit of a last-minute decision to go, and we just trucked over in our lorry, and just myself and a friend, Amanda, that came to help me. And it was just all a bit of a whirlwind, but we had a great time, and yeah, he was a superstar.
It's catapulted you to second in the series, behind Gemma Tattersall's. It's just fantastic to have you as part of the series, you and the partnership with this horse. He is your only horse, and you've had an illustrious career, but you've said yourself this is probably the last horse you'll have at this level.
Yeah, and I just love him. He's just so easy to ride, and yeah, the 6-minute tracks suit him, and this series suits him. You know, we haven't done a 3-day this year because we've been concentrating on the URMs and we've been having a great time. But we'll see whether all the other guys stay intact this week, because we're on standby. And, you know, if it happens, we get the call up for the Europeans, well, fantastic, amazing. But, you know, we'll keep focusing on this weekend and see how it goes.
I know, because we just should say congratulations, because you are first reserve for the European Championships. Your performances in the Event Rider Masters have grabbed the selectors' attention and put you right up there.
Yeah, I mean, that was never expected, but, you know, he is a fantastic horse. He's been solid in all 3 phases this year. His dressage is just getting better and better. And yeah, I guess if you get the results, you get noticed. So we'll keep going at it.
And Cutty, you know, when you look back to Athens, when you were there on the team, and it was just so disappointing when the horse went lame just before the start of the competition, to be back in the mix for the British team.
Oh yeah, it's a dream to get that flag, that deserved flag. But what will be, and you know, we can only do our best and say in one piece, and you know, see what happens.
But it's a sort of fairy story, isn't it? Because your focus now, of course, are these 2 beautiful children, and it's tough to juggle being a mum, 1 horse, no arena, doing it all at home on the farm.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it seems to suit him working on the grass all the time. And myself and Alfie just came down here this morning, and Mars and Charlie came later on, and yeah, we just get by, and you know, there's always people about seeing me, you know, getting studs and everything else, and coming to help. You know, I'm a little bit hopeless sometimes, but you know, there's so many people around that help, and it's just great.
Well, we are literally loving the Cutty story, and you and Treason, the partnership. You know, don't underestimate. I love the way you play like you're some sort of amateur. You're the most hardcore competitor I know.
Well, yeah, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it properly. You know, I concentrate very much on my fitness, his fitness, our training. So even though I've got the 1 horse, we make sure we do it properly.
Well, listen, you're doing it brilliantly. Well done, great test. We're looking forward to watching you the rest of the weekend. Say good luck to Mum.
Good luck, Mummy.
Well, it is a huge family effort. Sarah Cohen and Treason well placed to climb the leaderboard. They're currently sitting in 6th. And Sam, I think I'm right in saying we've not yet had a winner of an Event Rider Masters leg that's come from the top 5 out of dressage.
Yeah, you could well be right there, Nicole. You love throwing me under a bus,
I
don't
do.
you?
No,
I'm going to have to frantically start typing if you want me to answer that
They've all been in the top 5.
Yeah, so
yes.
I think if that trend is going to be broken, it's going to be broken here this weekend. I think the leader at the moment, Oliver, definitely one of the best competitors in the field, but he's on a horse who we don't know how he's going to come out in either phase. He can certainly have a rail down. He had 2 down last weekend at Birmingham. He's only had 2 clears cross country at 3-star level since Burnham Market last year, so in the last 18 months. So anything can happen here. I don't think Bill and Marcia are on the fastest horses in the field. Alexander Bragg, let's not forget about him. He's in 4th place and he's got a point to prove.
He was one of the fastest horses across the country in Aachen, actually, and that was a tight time.
So I think it is just fascinating tomorrow. I love Gatcombe, the challenge that it presents, the fact that we have probably only seen 5–10% of the influence of the competition so far, and it is all to come tomorrow. So it's fantastic. But there was some spectacular dressage as well.
Well, we can't wait to see how all of the action unfolds. But the people in charge of the dressage, and in fact the whole competition, are our ground jury. And let's go and hear what they have to say with Alice.
Yeah, very important people join me now, the ground jury. Andrew Benny from New Zealand, Jane Holderness Rodham, Great Britain, Annabelle Scrimgeour, Great Britain. Andrew, let's start with you. Tough competition, just 2 sub-40.
Yeah, there's a lot of quality horses and riders here, as there always is in the ERM. It's a very exciting competition and class. Some very good horses, some silly little mistakes in places for some of them, and which has cost them a little bit of marks for course errors. But yeah, a great competition so far.
Yeah, a couple of blonde moments, wasn't it? But conditions were tough, Annabelle, today. The weather was fluctuating all over the place.
Yes, I think it was very lucky that the worst of the rain was at lunchtime, so nobody was competing then. So apart from the odd shower, actually, we had no problem with the weather. It was good.
And Jane, it looks like the footing held up pretty well.
I think it did. It was really good. But I don't know whether that inhibited 1 or 2 of the riders from being a little bit more ambitious. I'd like to have seen them had a little bit more of a go in some cases, but there were some very nice tests.
You've been here many, many times. Historically, this is not a dressage competition, is it?
No, it never is. It's what happens out in the bowl and all around there that really matters. So look forward to seeing what goes on tomorrow.
Well, listen, thank you so much for your judging today, team, and we'll enjoy the rest of the weekend sport under your guidance.
Thank you.
Well, we'll be looking forward to the show jumping in more detail tomorrow morning. But let's just have a moment, because last year, Sam, Equa ratings tell us that actually it was one of the most influential in the series.
It was the most influential show jumping in the series last year. Only 10% jumped clear. It was the most influential time on the cross country. No one made the time. Now, Jardie, which was the last leg this series, only 7.7% show jump clear, so that was very influential as well and is the most. But I would fully expect with these conditions, we know what Dye Body likes to throw at these guys and make them work for it, and that's exactly what this competition is all about. So tomorrow is going to be challenging.
Highlight for today, Mark. We've loved your insight.
I want to see Bill Levitt.
Bill
He
Levitt.
should be in the lead.
Okay, Bill Levitt. You really liked Shannon Del Titan, didn't
really
you?
like it. Yeah, Bill was my highlight.
Sam, quick highlight for you.
Do you know, I'm gonna go back to Tim Price. You know, this morning, second horse out this morning, I think he did a brilliant test, but the future that horse has, I'm really excited about that.
I have to say, I think my highlight was Emily King and Dargan, because she had the most beautiful test, just that one error, but such a talent for the future.
Yeah.
So yes, we have had a huge amount of fun here. Dressage Day, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. The leaderboard, we know it's going to shuffle in the jumping phases. They're so influential here at Gatcombe. We will be bringing you all of the live action. 9:15 we go live in the morning. That's British summertime with the show jumping, and we certainly hope you can join us because it promises to be an incredible day of competition. We'll see you then.
me in a state